starts early. It works hard. It stays focused. It keeps moving. It stands ready. And it carries the weight. Strong coffee for a strong nation.
All right. Welcome everybody back to Beyond the Possible, number 25. We have James back 25 weeks in a row. Back again.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'm sure if someday it'll the streak will be broken, but it's good to have made it this far.
Yeah. Almost we're almost half the year. Almost
True.
half the year.
Wow.
And yeah,
Huh.
next week would be, half a year of it. And we had a special guest. We got Matt's out here joining us. Had a little technical issue, but now we got it all figured out, and here we are.
Hey guys, yeah, thanks for having me on, Ricky. Thanks for doing the show, man. I really like this show and the other one. Congratulations on 100 episodes on the other
Yep.
show, and many more. Keep it up the good work, man.
Appreciate it. It's been a fun. It's been a fun journey, and it really is. It's great to have so many different people and so many people that to support, and like I said, I just want to pay back. Have everybody on here that wants to come on here, and I'm glad you wanted to come on and made it work so quick.
Yeah, I would like to return the favor in the future.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, be fun for sure. I was on another stream last night for about 4.5 hours, just talking everything and anything. Some of it, I was just sitting back and listening because they were a bunch of Australian people sitting there going, talking a whole bunch of mess. they they got like they hit a point that when they had enough alcohol and everything in their system, it was pretty funny there for a minute. About 2 o'clock in the morning or something. I'm like, oh, here we go. It's pretty funny though. Pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was hoping to have you to know James and I had a conversation. We talked about it. We knew you had lots of paranormal stories and stuff that's happened before and to you, and then I know you went through the haunted museum of Zak Bagans a while back. It might be a good bit now, but I figured it'd be fun to talk about that. And who knows? As always, who knows where it's going to go? And but for the ones that don't know who you are, go ahead and let everybody know who you are and where you're at, and we'll get started.
Yeah, so my name's Matt. From California, and I go by Matt's Owl. That's my spirit animal, Matt's Owl. And yeah, I started doing this podcasting with Mike and Troubled Minds, and just going on that journey, just talking about talking with people about things. I never thought I'd do anything like this, but yeah, here we are. But
Yeah, you did.
I got I had like experiences as a kid, stuff that was going on in my life that I knew there was something else out there, something more than just what we could see with our touch, taste, hear, and smell. I knew there was something out there, so I like to tell. I want to tell the stories, but back then, you couldn't really tell the stories. It's kind of taboo. You couldn't talk about that kind of stuff. And now all of a sudden, here we are. We have like ghost stories and ghost hunting shows, and it's popular. We have like witch talk. It's like popular now, and it's interesting now how times have changed and how we could tell those stories. And I just want to tell stories, and whether you believe me or not, it's up to you guys. But I want to hear other people's stories. I want to tell stories. I just want to talk about this stuff and get out there. There's something out there that it's a phenomenon that a lot of people have experienced, and so I just want to kind of collect it all and try to understand it as much as I can. Yeah, I started out when I was a kid, and I have feelings that the kids have it when when they're kids, you're closer, like you're closer to that veil, and so you're able to maybe see things like we have the keys to these doors, but we don't know how to open the doors. But then when we become adults, we lose the keys. We don't know how to we find the door, but we lose the keys. And we even hear stories about people like on their deathbed, how again closer to the veil. Stories like my great grandfather. I went to see him on his deathbed, and he was like seeing people. He was like seeing shadow figures, and he was seeing people that weren't there, that had already passed away. So I'm wondering if there's some sort of connection there, like closer to the veil on both sides, that you could see, or maybe have some sort of experiences that way. And so I'm just trying to understand it all. I'm just trying to help teach people and trying to understand it, because I had the thing, you're afraid of what you don't understand, and that goes for like a lot of things. So my whole point was like I was afraid of it as a kid, and then I wanted to learn about it. So I researched it. I started reading books. I started going to the library. I started reading books about like the paranormal and like chakras and auras and ghost stories. I got into witchcraft, practiced as religion, and so I just wanted to help teach people. That's another thing, that people are afraid of what they don't understand. So I'm just trying to kind of teach people, help people out, and if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's cool. I just want people to understand, like when it comes to the podcast, what my podcast is about is like breaking those stereotypes of like the wicked witch, of the West, or the evil queen with the poison apple. And this all the movies coming out, it's always the antagonist. That's the evil bad guy, and I've never met anyone like that before. I mean, so I just wanted to show people that, hey, look, there's more out there, and that witchcraft is an ancient earth-based religion that is peaceful, and it's an actual recognized religion. And I wanted to share that information with people so they're not afraid of it. Go ahead.
No, that's good, man. And so I know you called in on Trouble Minds and stuff before, but this is the first time you done like a live podcast, and
I've been on James' show a couple times,
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
um, guess foreshadowing news, I'm gonna be on Ray K's podcast here coming up in a while.
Nice.
nice,
So
that's
we got
cool.
other people, yeah. So it's really cool to be able to kind of like at first I thought, oh, only a couple people would want to listen to what I have to say, but after doing it for a while, and I've kind of got a schedule going on. I'm doing every Mondays at 7 o'clock when there's no trouble minds. So now I'm kind of rolling the ball with that. At first I was just kind of doing random episodes, but now I kind of have a schedule. I have a whole bunch of stuff lined up for you guys, so I'm kind of just pushing through it, and here we are. It's pretty fun. It's fun to do it, the podcasting.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's the hard part, like get that schedule going, and like way it's consistent, so people
Oh my
know when to
gosh.
come back and talk to you and listen to you. It's like have you get that good consistency of, hey, like we're on Sundays at 7 and 8:30 on Wednesday night, so people have an idea. If something's going on, like what's going, I start getting text messages, what's going on, where are you at? But
Yeah,
that's
that's why I miss this show a lot, because it's early.
yeah,
It's 5 o'clock for me.
yeah. We try to do a little that way. We hit him before Trouble Minds, but of course
Yeah.
tonight, I think Mike's not gonna have a stream tonight, so we won't have no time constraints. So wherever we go, how long we go, we can go. James said he was talking about some 7 hours, but I don't know.
Break the record. Yeah, no. I was joking. Because, yeah, no, not this time. Maybe someday, but that is not today.
Yeah. I got to go to work in the morning, so and a little side work tomorrow. So yeah, that's cool. And it's good to be able to talk with people and see these things and see that open other sides and kind of like what James always says. Whenever they talk about like paranormal spot is always just demons. It's just like this straight evil mentality. And it's not always demons. It's not that it's not demons. I do believe there are demons, but it's not always that. It's not always negative. There's positive. There's good. Through and in everything. So that's good to be able to share some of the insight and then showing the other side, like James does with this show, shows the other side, the more positive side, and the paranormal, and the good feel, good stories, and
Yeah, and just the weird. I mean, just the ones that are just odd. There doesn't seem to be even any intent or any sort of uh, directed intention at anyone. It just things happen. Objects vanish. Objects appear. Just random things that are just. How do we explain that? I love those too, where there's no clear intelligence behind whatever's happening. The things just seem to happen. So I do love those as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of your show too, James. Learn a lot, hear a lot of cool stories, um, and I like listening to it because it's like I said, it's different. It's not like it doesn't have like a narrative.
Yeah, no, I'm just sort of what you were talking about there. I just trying to collect all the accounts of experiences I can and share them, uh, and then just I'm enjoying doing the whole series on Charles Fort, all his nonfiction, because that's you know been really it's difficult to read sometimes, but it's worth it because he talks about a lot of amazing things. But and I do want to. We still need to work out getting together on your show at some point too, Matt, because I'd love to talk with you there sometime.
Yeah, I guess that's my bad. I got stuck on the technology, so I have to reach out for some help.
Well,
But
and I always forget.
yeah, once I figure it out, yeah, definitely. Lots of stories to talk about, lots of things happening. So I
Yeah,
do want to be on your show again, or you be on my show. You whatever. We'll talk
yeah,
again. We'll do a show for sure.
yeah.
nice, nice. And on the technology side, if I can help you in any way, just reach out, man. I can. On some, I've used a bunch of the different platforms now, so these 3 years I've learned a lot. Just trial by error, that
Yeah.
trial by fire, really, doing this stuff and just learning. So yeah, if I can help you in any way, man, just reach out and I might have the answer, or I
Definitely.
might
Thank you.
know who.
Thank you.
Yeah, or might know who can help to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, same
Thank you.
here.
Yeah, man.
See.
We shout out our chat real quick. We got Blake is in the chat. We got Pat Evans. We got FAFO podcast. What a storm. What's up, my friend? Huckleberry's there. And of course we got Nostradamus and Sweets over on the Rumble.
Thanks,
Glad
sweets.
you glad y'all are here. And hope y'all enjoy. It's gonna be a fun one. I'll say, Matt, what you said it started with like challenge though. What would be one of your first like maybe paranormal or ghost or anything like that? The earliest memory of one or story from one.
Yeah. So I have the stories about all of my stories are kind of through time. But like I said, when I was a kid, I had these experiences. I had this friend, and I'm not gonna say his name, but we grew up together. We were best friends all through kindergarten, all the way up to adults. And he had it. He had like the sixth sense. He'd see and talk to the dead. And I believe a lot of it had to do with the house they lived in. This house that a lot of my stories happened in this one house, childhood home that he grew up in, and a lot of the stories that happened there. There was things there like I don't know if it was the house itself, like the land, or if there's something tragic happened there before. But one of the things was we had a pet cemetery. We had like a lot of pets that passed away, so they built like a pet cemetery in the backyard. I don't know if that had anything to like do with it, but I feel it maybe kind of like boosted the energy, or maybe created some sort of vortex that like summoned like a beacon to like the paranormal activity. We hear stories about that, like graveyards, like all graveyards are haunted. There's something going on there. So I think there's something like that was going on. But this house was very active. Lights flickering, unexplained footsteps, unexplained noises, doors opening, closing, those kinds of things. TVs turning on and off. The one thing we had a lot of was things disappearing, like a video game controller or something would disappear. We like tear the house apart looking for it, couldn't find it, but then we'd find it like on the table, like it was there the whole
Right.
time. Stuff like that was happening all the time. But one of the stories I had was I don't know how old I was. I was in elementary school, like 8 or 9, and his parents had a waterbed, and so we snuck into his parents' room, and we would like play WWF, like off the top ropes, jumping on the waterbed, and they had this closet. This closet, it was always dark. It was like a walk-in closet. They had a bunch of stuff in it. It was always dark and it was just this creepy closet. And this one time we were in there, and all of a sudden, the dogs started barking at the closet, and for no reason, just dogs started barking. I look over, and I look in the closet, and there was something in the closet. There was a shadow figure, a shadow man. Well, I would say a shadow figure. Head, torso, and arms. I couldn't see his legs. But I saw it. It had glowing red eyes. And the shadow figure in the closet, I tried to describe it as like, it's kind of like the Predator, like how it was camouflaged. It was dark, but like the only way I could see it is when it moved, because it reacted to the dogs barking at it. So when it moved, it was like darker than the darkness. It was blacker than the blackness. Is the way I could describe it. And I could see it in there. And of course, being a little kid, I ran. Just got scared.
Yeah.
And but several times, we did have experiences with like the dogs barking at the closet. We'd get freaked out. We'd get the hair stand up on your arms, and we get freaked out and scared and run away. That's
Yeah,
my
cause-
first experience. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had I seen a shadow figure. I ran just the other day. Hell,
Yeah. I had a shadow figure that I only saw it when it came out of my closet. Never saw it in the closet, but it hung out in that closet for years at night. Just it was like it needed a place to stay. And I've said this before, and it always just gave out a feeling of like I don't mean you any harm. Don't bother me. I won't bother you. And I just never saw anything while in the closet while I was going in there to put things in that room or take things out. But I just always felt that, and it was always at night. And at one point, years later, this one night I was listening to some kind of paranormal podcast, and I sensed something coming out of the bedroom, the storage room we call it, because that's where I store everything. And I looked over and I saw this. It wasn't really the shape of a person, but it was the size of a person, and it was a shadow. But it was like an oval, not really you couldn't see arms or legs or a head separate. But it just stayed by the kitchen doorway for a little while, and then went back in the room. And it did this 2 nights in a row, and then after that, I never sensed it in this place again. And I feel like it must have been saying goodbye, like thanks, and thanks for letting me use your space, and I'm leaving now. And I've never had that feeling in that room to this day ever again. So it's really wild how shadows they can, they're not always visible. They can just give off a presence sometimes, I think.
Yeah, I was like passing through.
Yep.
I think that's one of the things where people they freak out and stuff. But that's I believe that's some of it. It is just they're passing through, and they're and plus when we've talked about it here on before with James and I. We talked about and maybe what we're seeing is that that veil of that multiverse right there connecting, kind of lifting right there, so we kind of see them go by and whatever, and maybe they even know that we're there, maybe they don't know we're there, and or we might look like shadow people to them on the other side. It's one of them very interesting concepts, that one side makes sense. It really does, kind of that we have this multiversal kind of parallel, especially with some people having lucid dreams and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and it all kind of ties together a little bit.
I think that is a huge thing too, due to popular culture. The idea that anything that we see has to be any kind of anomalous figure we see has to be the spirit of a deceased person, uh, and or it has to be again, or it has to be a demon, or it has to be just residual energy of someone that was there. But again, with either a multiverse or time anomalies, there's just so many other possibilities to what people could be experiencing, and that's the most fascinating thing about all this to me, are all the options.
Yeah, I think about it like different levels of vibrations. Like there could be
Hmm.
dimensions layered on top of each other, and kind of like raising our like we're raising our vibration, and they're lowering their vibration, and we like cross paths.
Right.
I think that could be a thing too, and that's why like you think about it. That's why there's things like cold spots
Yep.
because they're like changing their vibration. And then you have the things like hair standing up on your arms, the physical sensations like seeing your breath, those kinds of
Yeah.
things. I've had that every time that it's that same feeling like, and I get it before the event happens. It's like I get
Right.
the hair standing up on my arms, and then I see the thing, or then I know something's about to happen, and then it happens.
Right.
Like I don't know what like how to explain that like scientifically or anything, but that kind of like it's like your body's reacting to it before you even notice that something's gonna happen.
Yeah. And then there's even accounts of warm or hot spots before or during paranormal activity as well. So it makes me wonder, what's going on there? Is it a sign of different type of entities, or is it just a different sign of the same things? I always wonder about that.
Well, what did I think it was David one that was talking, the other day was talking about, like you're pulling, we really believe, the paranormal pulls energy and stuff that way they can actually manifest and see that, certain parts of the paranormal, and that's the reason like they pull, the area gets cold, so they pulled all the energy right there and it made it cold. So I mean, I could see why they couldn't do the opposite direction, pull all the cold out of the area, is using the energy either way.
Right.
Um, but it was I had that was an interesting concept he had. Like if he pulling all the cold air out of a certain area that they're probably not right there. They're probably like right behind you or in a different spot. But they're using that energy from that area. That don't mean they had to be standing right there or something like that. It um, made sense to me. Really, it did.
It reminds me of the concept of like they talk about their batteries getting drained,
Yep.
pulling the
Yeah.
energy out.
Yeah, yeah. I had
Yeah.
that happen. I had that happen the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it freaked me out a little bit, but yeah, I had that happen the other day. Um, what's up, Jason Barker? What's up, Nature Boy? Appreciate y'all being here.
But yeah, I think the whole energy thing too. I mean, I think that it's a word that we use for everything, but I mean, obviously we know that there are different kinds of energy and energy fields and all that. So if there's consciousness out there that exists in some kind of form that is just made of energy, who knows what kind of energy they're made of, or what kind they would need to absorb or take in to make things happen. Um, it's energy is the easiest way to describe all this, but also we know there's different kinds of it. So I wonder if that explains different kinds of experiences or how that plays into all this.
Yeah, I wonder if other factors too, like we were talking about like haunted locations, like cemeteries or places where a lot of trauma happened, are more susceptible to having these hauntings. But it could be it could happen anywhere, but it's just like it's more like concentrated into one space.
Yeah, and that could be, especially with the traumatic events happening in an area, it could be that is why. Because if you look at, there's been times I've heard on shows people talk about going to a cemetery thinking it's gonna be all weird and paranormal and scary and all that, and they get there and there's either no feeling, there's no sense of a presence or energy or anything, or it's a positive one. It feels like a peaceful place. Um, But then obviously you have those exceptions where it does not. Uh, it's it's not never as simple as all of this type of place are going to be haunted, so to speak, because we don't know how that works because they're not all you know that way.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the differences between like a prison and a playground. The energy is
Right.
different.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
Jason Barker made a comment. What if it's people from different times, and
Oh yeah.
um,
Yeah.
what do you think about the theory where it's we're all in the same time, like we're doing the past, future, presents all happening at the same time at you know, and maybe maybe that is the people from the past are right there, because it's all right there happening all at one time. And kind of interesting. Um, you know, thanks, Shadow. Come on, oh, there we go. Um, that's or maybe it's what we're seeing is when they're see something like especially in a graveyard or something like that, or just anywhere they're walking around, just like I said, they're walking around in their normal time, and we're just getting to see that moment of that lapse of or that veil, as you said, the veil dropping just enough where we can actually see a little bit and peek in there.
Yeah, that concept is wild. There's a lot of movies that kind of talk about that kind of stuff, like time traveling different ways. Interstellar is one that comes to mind about how time works. Um, there's a movie I watched recently, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it's a dimensional, like a weird dimensional movie. Talks about like jumping dimensions and stuff, and time's kind of in that too. I think anything is possible. I think we don't understand that how time can, how time travel would even work. I think that we're just like touching on some of the technology to be able to understand it. But yeah, I do think, and another one it kind of reminds me of too is like DMT, like how they say we just pop in, we raise our get to that level and then we just pop into their reality, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" But how would time work like that? How could time work if there's different realities? Where do you go when you're on the DMT? Kind of same thing. I don't know. I don't know how time really. It's hard to explain the time stuff, but I do believe in it.
Yeah, it is, and it's interesting to see some of the stories coming out of like DMT and stuff, where it's for the ones who's had a near death experience, and then they use DMT later on, and they're like they go back to the same spot they were when they had the near death, and see the same entities and stuff like that, and they're like, "What are you doing here? You're supposed to not you're not supposed to be here no more." Uh, and then of course there's some that I seen this where people were talking about where you know you do the wrong thing in that realm and they'll kick you out where you can't come back no matter how much you take. It's pretty wild that they have that control where we that having that
Yeah,
not be able to go back and
like
forth.
Guardians.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of see it like that. Like Guardians, we're not supposed to go to these places until we're dead, and so if you're still alive, you can't go in. Like carry on the boatman, or like you have to have the story. You have to have the two gold coins or the two coins to pay the ferryman, the boatman, to cross. Uh, and then the other ones are like Cerberus, the dog. He like protects the underworld. Humans aren't supposed to go there if we're not dead. So if we're just taking DMT and we're still alive, they're like, you're not supposed to be here. You don't have the keys. You're not actually dead. I can believe in stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that is also a partial. If I could talk, partial explanation for some, let's say, cryptid or creature sightings. Even when it comes to like uh, the sort of like shadow dogs, like giant black dogs with red eyes that people see around the world, and some places, even sometimes around cemeteries. Uh, they're they look terrifying, but there's a reason for that. You know they're there to sort of guard. I don't know if it's guarding the cemetery or certain people in them in the cemetery, or just the some aspect of the afterlife that people aren't supposed to be able to go there and pick up on in some places for some reason. I'm not sure, but I wonder about that. Just like how everything, or there's a lot of experiences people have where it feels like a negative entity tricked them into thinking it was a positive entity. I wonder if there's sometimes a reverse where what is terrifying in appearance. There's a reason for that, and it's a positive purpose that they have. It just is not a fun experience for the person that gets to see them. You know, depending on what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and maybe it's just they're protecting. Maybe there's an actual portal or something like that in that spot. That was the
Right.
reason. Like I said, guarding and everything. I like Nature Boy's comment. I put it on. I pinned it on Rumble. It says the spirit world is as real as you and me. Once you've seen it, you cannot unsee it. He said
Yeah.
he's seen it before. So yeah.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
comment. I
For
wonder
sure.
if like oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying for sure.
Uh, I wonder if it's like when people if you react to it. I wonder if you have like a paranormal experience and you react to it, if you become like a beacon, like they know that you can see them or talk to them. So now you have like mediums and stuff like that, that do this for a living. Like they have like lines of the dead like lined up to talk to them.
Yeah, and I've heard that before too, where that whenever they go anywhere, there's just people show up, and it's spirits. It's not physical people, and they have to sort of really establish boundaries and sort of figure out how to tune out or to change their, I guess, their energy levels or awareness or something. I don't know how this works, obviously, to where these people that just show up to talk to them can't get through
Hmm.
because people have to go about regular things in life that they have to do. They can't be, there has to be balance as always with all these things,
Well, I know a
Yeah,
lot of them have like guardian spirits. I named
right?
Cindy Kaza. I know how I've heard her talk about it before. Like she's had like a guardian spirit that guides her in that realm and stuff, and keeps her from stuff attaching to her that she don't need and stuff like that. So um, I, I have heard that before. So it's they have that them spirits are kind of protected ones that that have that gift you know to where they can actually connect. So because it would it'd be um, drive you insane if 24/7 you had things coming to you, talking to you, for the it would it just you couldn't rest.
Yeah,
They put you in a straitjacket, just because you're having so many things come around and talk to you at the same time. It'd be, man, I couldn't imagine.
no,
yeah. Real magicians like protect themselves with like amulets, talismans, symbols like runes, things like that to help with that. And then also I've figured out too is like I can like shut it down now. I controlled it to where if I know I'm going into a haunted place or I know I'm going into a place that it may or may not be haunted or I'm having that feeling, I can like close myself off to it just by like protecting my own energy. Which means that if you want to, you can also awaken it as well. That's what all this like psychic development stuff is all about.
right. Yeah, in what I do, like even just online research, if ever I come across anything that it just seems like an account of a terrible experience, I just automatically think of a shield, around me just in case, uh, and uh, and then just keep on going. And a lot of times when I find those accounts too, I put up a shield and I guess you could say send out positive energy or hope that things get better for the person that had that experience because I can't. I can't help people with those kinds of things. I don't know what depending on who you talk to, there's things you can do that work, but then you find other accounts where the things that are said to work don't work. So I I'm always very careful. I don't like to give advice or answers to anyone about how they should handle these situations. But yeah, I try to always have a shield on me when I'm doing even just the online research as well.
Yeah, I mean, um, this my thought process just said boom. Um, yeah, you have to have, like, if the protection, like even, like biblically, you look at it, you had the armor of God to protect you from, the things to attack you. We got to have that, you know, for sure. Be cautious of, where we're going. And I know a lot of people um, would turn around and talk. Make sure it's like if they leave a place they know is super haunted or they've had a lot of things going on, make sure like remind the spirits like, hey, you can't come back with me. You got to stay here. You don't leave with me. You do not mess with nobody. Don't do, you know, and be firm with what you're doing. So, try to kind of lessen, all in all, if they really want to, they're going to mess with you, I guess. But, kind of give them, say, hey, leave us alone, kind of thing. Kind of separate it, so you can disconnect from that. So we won't take something home that you really don't want to have at home.
Yeah, it's a good thing you brought that up, like setting boundaries. Um, Going back to that story, I was talking about that house. My friend, his mom, she was a 911 dispatcher for the sheriff's office, and she worked the night shift. And so when she would become, I would walk to school. I'd walk to my friend's house and pick him up when I walked to school, on the way to school. And we would be getting ready for school, getting ready to leave. She'd be coming home, and we'd watch her out the window. She'd come up to the house. She would stop on the front porch, and she would turn around and she would start talking to nobody. Like she would be waving her arms and talking. And we were kids, like, what is she doing? But now looking back at it, I realized what was going on. What she was doing was she was telling the spirits, like, you cannot cross this. This is my um, house, my abode. You cannot cross this line into my house. You have to stay here on the front porch. And that brings up the whole topic, and that's a whole another show we could do to talk about that. Is what about people like 911 dispatchers or like first responders, like
Yeah.
hospital workers, even paramedics, firefighters, stuff like that. What are their stories? And I do have a story to share on that later tonight. But I wonder about that, about first responders, if they are more haunted, if they have more, if they're like susceptible to things coming home with them, the hitchhiker effect they call it.
Yeah. And if you listen to enough other podcasts about people's experiences, um, people like first responders will sometimes go on those shows and talk about their experiences, and they'll get called to a place where there's people think it's just people inside the place causing noise or whatever might be going on, and they'll get there and they won't find any regular people, but they'll have an experience with like a shadow figure or just any number of things, and they'll have experiences from then on, and and then sometimes their experience is so much that they don't even want to go on a show, but they'll send in their experiences like in a written form, and they won't use their real name because again of the stigma against all this stuff.
Hmm. That's one thing I'm glad, more and more shows are opening up. More and more people are going to be able to talk about this stuff and open up that, that stigma and everything of, and being able to talk about it. Um, I know mom's listening, like, we talked about it before, like when she would first come on, it's like, well, I don't want nobody thinking something bad. I'm like, nobody gonna think nothing bad. It's becoming more and more mainstream now, and it is, more and more people talking about it, and so it maybe as we go along that more and more things will, as it grows in the field, you can see more and more people actually able to be more comfortable talking about these things and stuff. Because I mean, I know I was there. I didn't talk a lot about a lot of my stuff for over 20 years. And finally I'm like, because I didn't know really. I was in the same boat. Who do I even talk about this? Like it's like gifts and stuff like that. Like having being you know different gifts of this. I would say like gifts of the spirit, or like psychometry and stuff like that. How do you talk about that? Who do you talk to about? You know, how do you develop it? Things like that. So had me curious. But of course, I'm like, who the hell do I talk about this stuff? Like, do I just random person like, hey, what's up? Of course, now and then I found like the Troubled Minds group and everybody. It's and to see that and there's more. It has expanded my mind on the possibilities and who to even like, hey, bounce stuff off of. So it's been a good thing, and I think hopefully more and more people are able to do that. As this stuff grows.
Yeah, there's not a show already for what do we call it, like Paranormal 911 or something. There should be a show like that.
I feel
That'd
like
be
there is. I feel like I've heard that title
Yeah.
somewhere, but who knows at this point? Yeah.
But I also wonder too is if that is the reason, like maybe her words didn't work. Maybe that could be another reason why that place was so haunted. Like there was things following her home. These 911 dispatchers. It's like sometimes they're the last contact of some people.
Yeah.
People that need help and they're in trouble, and they might be the last person they talk to in these situations. So I wonder if there's something out there, like a way of like logging that, or diving into some of those stories would be fun.
Yeah, it's sad because I know I had somebody. I had one of my videos on Rumble where I one of the shorts. I was talking about you need to check on your loved ones because you never know. It's just no matter what the age are. They could be 20 or 85. You need to reach out to them if you hadn't talked to them. If that feeling inside that gut feeling hits you and like, hey, I haven't talked to this person. Well, you might need to reach out. And I had a few comments, and I had a couple comments. It was kind of negative, and kind of sad. But I had one that it was sad to hear. I think it was their brother was going around. They were the one going around like you got fires and stuff or whatever, and just checking on people and health checks if you hadn't heard from somebody for around, and they went around and found a lot of people had passed away and stuff. I'm like, just thinking about you know that toll of continuing to be the one to go around and find these loved ones, these people's loved ones passed away, and then you're the one that got to go around and tell somebody like, hey, by the way, this such and such has passed away, or I'm not sure, the whole situation, or like if they're the one like, hey, reaches out like, hey, I found your uncle out here in his cabin or whatever happened. That's got to take a toll on somebody's mental, and I wonder on the other side, you know if you're weakened and you're like, especially your mental is weakened, and you hear, you know, are they susceptible of having things come home with them, or attachments or anything like that? I wonder too. Like you said, it'd be interesting to check into and see if there's any kind of like database, or could build that kind of database, or have a place where people could turn in and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm really lucky that I found Troubled Minds, because I can tell these stories. So I'm really grateful of that. My gratitude to Troubled Minds family and friends that we could talk about this stuff and not get made fun of, not get like ridiculed. A lot of the stuff when I was a kid, I tried to tell people, and like I said back in the day, it wasn't cool. It wasn't, we can't really talk about this stuff. And one of the stories that got me kind of like reaching out and wanting to talk about it was when after that one story I told about the ghost, the shadow figure in the closet. I told somebody, I told a girl, and of course she like made fun of me, and everybody knew, and it was all bad. A lot of stories like I held in, I kept in, I didn't want to share them. I wasn't until I was a teenager I met up with these three girls, and it's funny that it was three women, but we would hang out after school and like do homework together. And this is at that time, around the time is when that movie The Craft came out.
Hmm.
If you guys remember that movie, but that movie is a movie that really got a lot of people into it. Like it opened the doorway to witches are people. They're out there and they're not just fictional characters. That was one of the movies that really got me into it and got a lot of people into it, like opened the door for a lot of that stuff. And of course, the movie is about unchecked power, what could happen if you don't if you if you if you like kind of go to the dark side with it. But
Right.
anyways, these three girls, we were doing homework together, and they dimmed the lights. They did that thing, submitted to you by the Midnight Society, and you hold the flashlight under your face,
Oh yeah.
and it told the ghost stories. And I don't know if the stories were real. I don't know if they're stories they heard, or if they're real stories or what. I don't remember the stories, but the time came for me, to tell a story, and so I put the flashlight under my chin, and I told that story, and I thought it was gonna be, made fun of, but to my surprise, they were like, whoa, that's pretty crazy story. They didn't make fun of me, and so that's kind of what got me into. After that, is when they kind of introduced me into those books, those goddess books, and that's what kind of got me into witchcraft. That's what got me out there, and that's what made me want to start telling stories. And I feel like it's important that we tell the stories, and I want to hear the stories, and I want to tell the stories. It's important we get this stuff off our chest. So, like I said, I thank you guys. I think Trouble Minds is a big part of my life. So I thank you guys for being there for me and helping me and giving me the place to talk about these stories.
Absolutely. I mean, we like I said, like we said earlier, and we need to be able to talk about some of this stuff, and just get it out, and because if you hold stuff in forever and ever, you know that kind of thing hurts you, and it just and like I said, if you especially when you're if you're holding it in because well you're worried about somebody thinking you're crazy or insane or something like that, and so you're thinking negative, and you're adding more negativity to the situation, So it's good to just be able to let's talk about it freely and go, oh hey look, and like you said earlier, it's one of them things like you can agree, disagree, or you believe, it's okay. Um, certain things, different people are ready to believe different things at different times in their life, because it takes certain situations happen for them to go, okay, this is, you know, and some people aren't ready for that leap of faith of, hey, this is going on, Some people are not even leveled, to the point of believing in ghosts or anything like that, and that's okay. I mean, if they don't, and some people don't have the um, I say the gifts and the intuition to even be able to see them. I don't think so. That's why some people go into places they never see anything. Be highly place that they it's really haunted and they don't see anything. Like walk around like man, there's nothing here. Just they're they're not they're not made to talk about that kind of thing, and they're not able to see it. At that moment in time, and maybe not that they couldn't down the line learn how to, or just have stuff open up to them. Um, and speaking of stories and stuff, I've had it pulled up here. I shared it on the thing here. Pat Evans said on October 28th, around 4 in the morning, experienced what looked like an energy wave of light. And when it cast down against the house, it appeared to be a light or shadow. Said no one has been able to explain it. What do y'all think on that right there?
There's a lot of light phenomenon in a lot of things, uh, and it's not always just like a an orb or a dot of light. Um, they come in different ways. I mean, I've heard of lines of light. People seen that. I've heard of like ribbons of light almost. People seen those in their room before, like just moving around. So I don't know what it is, but it's just really common light appearing and moving and then eventually fading away is just really common, and not just when it comes to what people think of as ghost stories, but when it comes to sightings of creatures in the woods or in nature, lights will be around either before or during or after a sighting of, let's say, a Bigfoot or Sasquatch or any number of things. And the same thing with UFOs, with any kind of anomalous things seen in the sky or in space. Lights will be seen again before, during, or after craft, or craft will turn into lights, or lights will turn into craft. So there's something about that light energy that it appears in all kinds of situations.
Yeah, I like how he said waves of light. It's pretty
Hmm.
interesting.
It
Kind of reminds
is.
me of that mirage when you're driving on a hot road and you like see like black spots in the road and they disappear. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about,
Hmm.
but it reminds me of that, like some sort of phenomenon happening there.
Yeah, Pat said someone mentioned portals before, so
Yeah, could be those too.
Agree.
E.
Yeah.
The answer's E. The answer's always E. All the above.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is my new favorite. I swear, like people want to put it all in a box, but I mean, the possibilities there. It could be a combination thing. I mean, multiple choice,
Yeah.
um, and when you limit the skew of it to can only be only this thing right here, then you limit the possibilities of what it could be. We on anything really. We see, like I say that all the time. I mean, like you see in Egypt, they limit their possibilities. Oh, what could it be? This or it could be that, and um, you see that in all kind of aspects. Archaeology and everything else. So when you limit your skew, or you put them blinders on like them horses have on, if we can only look forward, the true answer could be right there to the side. So we do need to open up, and um, that's like what Storm said here. You have to be able to talk about it. Nothing that's helped him more than being able to open up. And I agree. As we need to be able to talk and say these things, that the woo woo things, like Nature Boy said, the woo woo. What's up, Miss Karen? Let me reach out, shout out to you real quick before I let everybody else talk again.
Yeah, I think it's important to listening to people's stories and telling the stories, and important about kids, like listening to kids' stories,
Yes.
because I wish that I had someone that I could talk to when I was a kid, and so that's why I'm kind of advocating for that, trying to push for that. Listen to the kids, what they have to say, if they're telling the truth or not. It don't just listen to them and think about it, but don't say, oh, no, that's not possible. Once someone says no, you can't do that. That's when it's a toxic.
Hmm.
Yeah. And you hear about parents doing that, and sometimes they'll say, later on after the fact, well, they were saying that to so that their child wouldn't be frightened. But again, it still leads to that sort of mistrust or confusion in the kid. I think after the fact, when their parent could even be saying it in a nice way, like, no, that's not really, that can't be. It's probably this or that. But then the kid knows what they saw, and they can't understand why the parent is uh, not allowing for that possibility that they did see what they saw.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. My mom, same thing. You stay up too late watching scary movies. You ate too much
Right.
candy, but at the same time, I feel it. What are you supposed to say to that kind of stuff? So it's kind of like a defense on both on that side. But yeah,
Exactly.
I think it's important just to listen to the stories.
Yeah, and it could be. No doubt, if you're feeding all you feed your mind is, you know, alien shows or and watch, and Ancient Aliens every day. That's all you watch or whatever, and then of course that's what's, you see something in the sky. What are you going to think? Well, it's an alien, If all you feed, is ghosts or and goblins and ghouls and stuff, then you're going to lean it towards the paranormal and that side. So, so it could be possibly a part of that, too. But it does it, when people worried about having their kid feared, it being fear, but at the same time, it's like a double-edged sword. You don't want your child to be in fear, but also don't need them to hold everything inside and don't let nothing out. Talk about this stuff like, hey, I seen this, and last time I did, they kind of just brushed it off. Well, then I don't need to talk about it no more. And that leads to negative things and stuff like that. Um, we can say this real quick. I scrolled back up to here. Facebook on the mom's on Facebook right now. She said in the South, I have heard of this before. It's been a while though. In the South, a lot of older people still paint the porch roofs paint blue to keep the evil spirits away. It said the blue confuses them.
It's like a threshold magic.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've heard that before. And if you paint your roof blue, also it keeps the beams from the satellites from burning your house down too. But that's on another story.
Wrong show.
Wrong show. James getting mad. Wait a minute.
This is Sunday, Ricky, not Wednesday. Get your no, I'm kidding. Get your days right. No, I'm kidding. But no, there is something with like colors to me are fascinating because they seem to have power depending on who you talk to, and it can be the same color can have people can have different opinions about whether it's a positive or a negative color or energy, color of energy, or all those things. And um, you know, if you look up online, the types of uh, orbs that people see, the different colors. One site will say that a red orb, is a bad thing. Another site will say, well, it can mean these things, these other things, that are not bad. Uh, so it's really trying to do all this research into things can get really confusing at times.
Yeah, and I think they use colors to manipulate our energy as well. For example, places like classrooms, like prisons, and like libraries. They're like white colors, light colors, blues and greens, and soft colors. But then you go to like an arcade or like a casino, and it's like reds and oranges, and then the music's loud and it's confusing colors. There's no edges, like you walk around corners, stuff like that. The colors definitely affect us. So, and that has to do with like the chakras and the auras, the colors of them, and we used to do a thing. This is like a psychic development kind of test. We used to have this thing. I don't know if you remember the old school projectors, like slideshows where you have the slides and you suck them in. And you project on the wall,
Yep.
and we would do things with the colors. We would get colored ones, and you sit in a chair and then project like a blue light on you, and then so you have a blue light casted over you. That's for your throat chakra. If you want to work on your root chakra, you would cast a red light over you, and there's actually like beds now that you lay down, and it has like crystals and the colors, like the rainbow colors, going up and down your chakras, shining on your chakras to activate them. So there's definitely something going on there with the colors.
Oh wow. Yeah, the crystal thing to me is fascinating too because my own experience with them. I have a couple of different kinds of rose, or not rose, quartz. One is rose, one is like a clear quartz. And there was one point, couple of few years ago, where I had this week, like a week straight of just every time I went to bed, nightmares just continuously. And after a week, I was thinking this is not normal. I rarely have one nightmare in a night, um, and so I felt like maybe someone or something was like basically attacking me. and I had this feeling like I should take the crystals that I had, these two different crystals, and put them under my pillow. And so I did that. Don't know where the feeling came from, if it was a message from somebody or not. And I did that, and the nightmares stopped. And to this day, if I ever have a night where like I'm just all my dreams are just not fun or they're nightmares or whatever, I get those crystals and I put them under the pillow, and it helps right away.
Yeah, definitely work with crystals a lot. I believe, I kind of believe like everything's alive. Like these objects, there's stone spirits, plant
Right.
spirits, and they call them medicine, like plant medicine, stone medicine, guardians of that stone, plants and animals, and it's all there. And with the crystals, there's like some crystals will like project energy, and some crystals will receive energy,
Right.
and so there's all that going on. As the crystal things is something, if you're into it, like you can study that, and there's all kinds of stuff there. But I do believe in crystals. I have a ton of rocks, which is like rocks. So I'm always looking at buying crystals and bringing them home and organizing them, putting them on shelves and using them for different spells and stuff like that. And even placing them, like I do that too. I place the stones on my chakras, each different stone that corresponds to the chakra. And then my favorite stone is lapradite, which is they call that the magician stone. So that's just out there. But I do believe in the crystal stuff too. So glad you brought that up, James.
Yeah. It's just you know, I really to this point now, like when I have an experience, I think it's something we can all do. When we have an experience, and pay attention to it at the time, but also think back on it, because sometimes you'll find things. I mean, it's happened to me today, where I'll be recounting an experience I had years ago to someone. It's happened on the show before, and either someone will ask a question or just make a comment, and it'll make a connection in my mind that I never made before, regarding an experience that may have happened decades ago.
Yeah, follow your intuition is what I would say to that.
Yeah.
It's cool that you figured out like put the crystals under your pillows. We do a lot of stuff like that, and it's a joke. Make sure you use tumbled crystals, the round ones. Don't use the pointy ones.
Well, I
Um,
can tell you what happens if you
yeah,
use the sharp ones. There go your pillowcases.
yeah. So I do that too. I have different baggies, silk kind of bags that I put different crystals in, and I'll put them under my pillow. One of the ones they say like what I use is I use amethyst for dreams, and
Yeah.
it does boost. I'll put an amethyst under my pillow, and I'll remember my dreams. I'll have more vivid dreams. They also say that amethyst helps with like addictions. So if you have like an addiction problems, you could put your the amethyst under your pillow, and that'll help crave your addictions. But there's also things like that reminds me of is like the shaman medicine bags. The shamans had these like medicine bags. I have one. They're like these you might have seen them before. These pouches that the medicine man carry,
Right.
and those pouches are used. What they do is they'll put the crystal or the spirit or the like a herb or whatever it is they want to work with in the pouch, and then that's what like I said, the spirit will like talk to them. So if you have like a certain say you want like abundance, you could get um, one of the crystals that correspond to it, put it in your like a special shaman pouch. It could just be a bag. You could buy them at like hobby stores. You can make them like sew them together, or like witch shops and stuff like that. But and then put that crystal in your pouch and meditate on it, and then you'll receive messages of like how to use that crystal, what that crystal wants you to do with it, and how it wants you to use it to get its power, and work with these spirits.
Yeah. I do. It doesn't surprise me. I do. Yeah. I can totally believe and understand and accept that they're spirits and all these things people have and these objects that are around us and everything and sometimes we sense them, other times we don't. Uh, it's just makes me wonder too about uh, places where people like sort of sense a presence, but it's not negative and it's not nothing happens. I mean that gets back to the whole idea of like sort of haunted objects or objects with attachments as well. And I mean, if you think of a house, it's an object. It's a big object, but it's and really it's a collection of objects. So, but yeah, I think that the idea that there's spirits basically in almost everything. It's just a matter of how we notice them, if we perceive them or not, and or if they decide to show themselves in like what ways they decide to show themselves as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna draw off the house. Like, if everything has a spirit, if everything has energy, you look at like the microism would be like bacteria have, cells have energy. And if you
Right.
look at the macroism, would be like the planets have energy, and that
Yep.
means that if the planets are spirits, then like what are universes, what are galaxies, right? So like it could just go on and on. If everything has a spirit, and I think it's important that first of all that we respect that.
Yes.
Respect that everything has a spirit, and once you start to do that, you can open your mind to working with these energies. Like I said, every plant has its own spirit, every stone has its own spirit, and of course animals. Every animal, right, has its own spirit, and um, we need to respect that.
Yep. Yep. It makes me wonder too, and this is something I've just recently been thinking about. It's funny how, like, again, certain things don't cross your mind right away, but uh, my favorite movie of all time, for anyone who doesn't know, is Beetlejuice, the first one. And part of the story that doesn't get like talked about a lot as to why or how it works is that um, spirits can inhabit small spaces like models of places, like toy buildings, basically, like doll houses, and exist there. And in that movie, again, spoiler for an older movie, some of the main characters live, so to speak, because they are ghosts, in a model of the house that the house is in, or that can't speak. They live in a model of the house that the model is in,
Hmm.
and when they're in there, they can do amazing things, move objects with their minds, basically. And I wonder, is that because they are inhabiting such a small space that moving these tiny objects is easier, and or it's I don't know. I just wonder how that works, and it's really been on my mind lately. Because if you think about objects like that, I mean, there's doll houses around the world everywhere. There's toys everywhere. Uh, anyway, just an idea of like even not even necessarily objects that we find in nature, but objects that are made by people, but then possibly could serve as, I guess, almost like vessels, like dolls, but not quite always just dolls either.
Yeah, that's interesting observation because we're gonna talk about that. Like, what is the haunted dolls? And I like how I said doll houses too. It's creepy. Um, but how that works? How does that work? How in they never explain that in those movies.
No,
How they're able to go into the model.
yeah, it's it's. I mean, I'm guessing it's some kind of consciousness, perception, kind of. I don't know. Just focusing on it and then doing that. Uh, and I'm guessing experience helps with figuring that out. That you can actually do that. Uh, I need to do a at some point maybe another show on some of those weird parts of that movie or those first two movies that they're in there, but they're not main parts of the stories, but they're just like these kinds of loose ends that I really wonder about. But anyway, There's my random tangent there for y'all tonight.
No, that's good. Miss Karen said, interesting, James. Like our digital twin, our data has been used to make. So, yeah, so it is interesting how, um, how was it? I've never seen some other, like, stories and stuff and shows that had, like, little houses and ghost houses and, houses and stuff like that. And it had activity in them little doll houses, um, which some dolls and stuff. Hell, a lot of them dolls are creepy as hell. There's no way I'd be.
Yeah.
I seen some the other day, and it was just. I swear, it looked like the eyes are moving and looking at me. I'm like, not,
Come on,
you
Ricky.
weren't coming home with me anyway. But you're sure not coming home with me, buddy. Oh,
What's the worst
uh,
that can happen?
yeah. What's the worst I can have?
Yeah, I had another one too with the dolls. Is I found this out. The Amish, their children dolls, don't have faces
That's fascinating.
because they think that that could be what causes the spirit to go into it or something like that. I don't know, but I found that out. I was like, that's creepy.
Well, and that is really creepy because there are sightings. People have, over the years, I've heard accounts of people seeing what appear to be people, but they have no facial features.
Yeah,
Um, and it's sometimes they're sort of clear, or they're like they're just made of light or shadow. But then other times they appear physical, but they just literally have no, like it's a blank spot for the face. Uh, and it's sometimes it's a negative experience, and it's a positive one or neutral. So that's a fascinating possible connection there to those kinds of experiences.
Hmm. Yeah, that would be kind of freaky. But I wondered how. I guess you could see it maybe working that way. That way of the it maybe. I don't know, just random thoughts and popping in my head. But maybe if they were that the entity's going to take, hit that doll, it wouldn't be able to do anything because it wouldn't have a face to be able to see and move around and stuff like that. And maybe that's a um, possibility. Hmm. But yeah, no, a lot of them dolls. There's some creepy, creepy stuff going on with them, and especially some of the real life like. Um, yeah, I'm good. Especially those new ones and stuff. The new dolls they showing and everything that look just, I mean, just like a real child or whatever. And
Yeah,
yeah, no, I wouldn't allow my child to have that. There's no way. I want one of them. I forget what they're called. There's got a special name for them, whatever. But there's no way in blue hell.
it's yeah. I have a. They're actually not a relative anymore because of it was by marriage, but this one house that I used to go to once in a while, the people there, um, they had just this whole shelf full of dolls sitting there on the shelf, with their legs hanging off of the each shelf, or like, and there's like I don't know 3 or 4 rows going up and down of these dolls. I never liked being in that, and they had that in their living room, like facing where their chairs were, where they would sit and watch TV. And I never liked that room. Like, I mean, I was okay and I could get by, but I never liked it.
Yeah. Watching them watch TV.
Yeah, yeah, it was wow, it was weird. That was like I was a kid then. I didn't even know anything about anything, you know, paranormal, what you do or don't do, or should or shouldn't have, or all those things.
Mhm.
is it cool? I'm gonna take like a 5 minute break real quick,
Yeah,
and then order some pizza, and then when I come back, set me up for we'll talk about Zach Bagans. We'll talk more about some haunted dolls.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds
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 good.
good. Yeah, me and James can wing it.
Oh yeah,
What's up, Mr. Duffy? Mr. Duffy is in the house.
I
Yeah,
mean
it's
that
some
entire
crazy stuff.
first show, we just winged it. And that was five
Yeah,
and a half hours.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, Shadow, I can't see what I'm doing over here. You got half the screen blocked. Hey, hey, move.
I have a friend. I guess I should
He's
save it
looking
for
at me
when.
like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Come here. I can't see what I'm doing here. Come here."
yeah. They, they can
I
be
had to,
something else.
had to wait till he comes back. We were talking about it a little bit. We can throw this in here real quick. We're talking about that Ghost Chatter app. I'm curious on that. What the chat thinks is it? Do y'all think that I understand the analog, older radios and using that stuff like that, but do you think the actual newer phone, smartphone can be used to pick up paranormal activity? What do you think, James?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they can get EVPs on them. Uh, if you use whatever recording app you have on your phone. I don't know about the quality of the recording on all those. Probably it probably varies from phone to phone and app to app and all that. But you can do that. Um, and yeah, I mean, from what I heard about it on over on David's show, I forget the name of his channel now. Exactly what it is. Is it Haunting History? Is it? I think. Yeah, I think it's Haunting History. I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I the it is amazing because it sounds like they're make trying to make a the creators trying to make it an all-in-one device or I'm sorry app, not a device. It's an app for phones that have like they pick up temperature, they pick up um, I don't know, just all kinds of factors or sensor the information from the environment that can possibly then be used to make words and things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't say it's not happening. It doesn't happen. Uh, there's this phrase, anything is possible. I think I've heard that before. And so yeah, I'm really curious about what happens in the future. As more and more people start using it, what kind of evidence they get, especially if they can sort of if this app can pick up on several different things changing in the environment at once and report that all at once to sort of possibly indicate that there is someone or some energy there causing all these changes.
No, absolutely. Um, and it's really a wonder. Like I said, I wonder, will it, I've seen it saying somebody can use AI a little bit, but um, it's different features. I hadn't had I just looked it up just a second ago. I remember I sent you the link for the show, and I didn't really get a chance to watch it all. But I am curious, like if one of those cell phone things could actually do something. I know they talked about that. But they've been different ones that came out over the years and stuff. But like you said, this one here is kind of more, um, kind of does a little bit of everything. You can even live stream and stuff like that with it, and watch live
Yeah.
streams and all kinds. Like you said, is a absolute, all-in-one device. But I don't know. Like I said, anything is possible. They could, if technology you use it. But I wonder, if like spirits are, using your phone to interact and stuff, man, well, probably, I would imagine they would just wreck your battery. The
Well, and I
device.
wonder. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Because even getting EVPs on phones on devices sometimes the EVPs. I mean, I have a story about that I've shared before. Um, and I can share again if everyone really wants to hear it. But I have a friend that caught one on their phone once, and it messed up their phone to where the phone was barely working right as long as they had this recording on this phone, and they couldn't delete it right away. They tried deleting it, it wasn't working, and they finally deleted it. And once they were able to do that, the phone was working okay again.
Hmm.
So if you're going to be putting an app on a phone that is meant for spirits or other entities to manipulate the world around them, the person and the phone, well, the phone is in the world that's around it. There's already, if you look into it enough, there's already reports of all kinds of experiences with electronics over the years. Uh,
Hmm.
Starting with phones, but also just moving on to TVs, like smart TVs, computers, phones, tablets, all those things.
Yeah. If my suggestion is, if you got an old phone, I would put it on there.
There you go.
Matt, Matt, what we were talking about while you were gone. We had looked it up, and it was I don't know if you heard of it or not, but it's the Ghost Chatter app, and you can,
I have not heard of new. This is new.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. It can, and it's supposed to, the Ghost Chatter features is supposed to have a chatter mode for a casual conversation, spirit communications. Unless you want to take it a little more serious, I guess it.
So
Um,
it's an app on your phone.
it's an app on your phone. Yeah, there's a Estes mode. Is that allows continuous questioning for spirit communication. I guess you can set your phone down. It'll just continue to ask questions. Is what my understanding is. Then there's a ghost chatter box. Kind of mimics a spirit box. And it says it actually scans real internet radio stations and not just like I've heard of them before, and it just like I said, it just seemed like it is very well easily faked kind of thing. That's what I've always worried about it kind of thing. There's a
Yeah,
isolation mode, a oracle, spirit photo, um, EVP mode, video recording, live streaming. It's pretty interesting thing, but yeah, it's one of them things I've always wondered that like, for sure you could um, make it where it's fake it or whatever, make it not where it works, and um, whereas like I said, it's just a fake whatever, like fake ghost or fake whatever interactions. And I don't know.
yeah,
What do you think?
Yeah, I've heard of this kind of stuff before. I think a lot of it is like entertainment purposes.
Hmm.
Like it's fake, like they add the stuff to it, the recording or however somehow they're manipulating it. But I also think too is like back to like respecting the spirits. You get what you
Yeah.
ask for, and again back to the whole protection thing. If you're putting yourself out there and you're messing with things you don't understand, this could be dangerous. So I feel like we're we're going in some serious crazy times with the technology. I do like the technology, but I don't think we should be messing with these kinds of apps just because of they want us to. I do notice a surgence of like when ghost hunting first started, when all this ghost hunting stuff first started. The equipment was like expensive. It was bulky. You
yeah,
have one thing did one thing, and now it's like you can go on Amazon and buy a meter, like spirit box, thermal temperature gauge and all that stuff like in one tool. And
Hmm.
me and my friends we mess around with those kinds of stuff, with those kinds of things, but and you get what you pay for, if it's like a cheap tool or whatever. Um, but I think it's cool we have this technology. I would just say be careful if you're using like an app on your phone. That just doesn't sound right to me.
yeah, yeah. I So I can just do a really brief summary of the experience that I had with the recording because I went to this training center for people with vision problems, low vision, no vision, and I went there twice. I went there when I was about 18 or 19, and it's basically to teach people how to do everyday things without vision. And when I was in there, this one room that I stayed in, the first night I was there, I heard when I laid down to go to bed, I heard this woman's voice talking, but I couldn't understand what she was saying, and it only happened as I was trying to fall asleep. And I wake up and it would stop, and it happened a couple times in a row. And thought that was weird. And went back out and hung out in one of the TV rooms for a while, and then went back later on and fell asleep. And but then a few days later, I was on the phone, a landline phone, with a friend, and the same voice cut in, and it sounded like they were reporting like what they were doing to a coworker or superior or whatever, and they were just saying, I'm coming down the hallway now," or something like that. And my friend heard it too on the phone. So that was really amazing to have a voice that I heard with my ears without any technology, and then hearing it on a phone. And after that first time, I thought, oh, that was amazing. I'll never be back here again, probably, because, I mean, that's probably not going to happen. And I ended up going back there years later, about a decade later. And there's just all kinds of activity in this place, both times. But this one night, all my friends went to bed. It was late at night, like 1:30 or 2 in the morning. And my friend came back to the room I was in, and he said, "You're not going to believe what happened." So he went back to his room, and he was hearing bumps and bangs in his room, which he'd been hearing, people have been hearing in that place in recent days. The place had also been renovated at time a little while back before that too. So there you go. It's a common trope we could talk about later. But uh, and so he was hearing these sounds, so he decided that, again, going back to your point there, Matt, he decided, well, I'm going to try doing an EVP session like they do on TV, electronic voice phenomenon, where you don't hear a voice with your own ears, but then you pick it up somehow on the recording. And so he did this recording, and they asked if there was anyone there, and then left it recording for a little while and was silent. And he got this voice. So of course, it freaked him out. So he decided to get up and go outside to smoke a cigarette. And then he went back in, and he was going to come and tell me. And he found another one of our friends in the hallway, and he wanted to play the recording for this friend. And he tried to play it, and it would not play for this other person. So that freaked him out even more. So he went back outside and smoke again. And then he came to see me. He played this recording. It was that same woman's voice that I'd heard like a decade earlier, saying, "Looking for the one named James." And I was blown away, because it's one thing to have an experience, or not have an experience. It's one thing to hear about things on TV where you know it could be fake or exaggerated. But when you hear something like that and it says your name, it's really it's something. But anyway, as long as he had that recording on his phone was always having problems with his phone. And until eventually he was able to delete the recording. And once he did that, his phone worked fine.
Yeah, I like that story. I like how it was the same woman's voice. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, so I mean, just going to these, not even necessarily one app, but just apps nowadays, and putting them on your devices to try to make contact. I mean, in a sense, you could say it's like a digital Ouija board.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's the two extremes. There's the whole idea of people, whether it's the person that made the app or it's someone else hacking the app or whatever. There could be things that are faked. But then on the other extreme is you can pick up something, energy that gets stuck in that phone or expands from that phone to who knows where or who or whatever. And it's probably not going to happen with every single person and every single use of the apps. But, you know, all it takes is one bad experience, and there you go.
For sure. Miss Karen said she heard stories of spirits coming through electrical lines going way back into the history and stuff, and we know they like to use electricity, to pull in. Um, or like I say, anything's possible. I know just the having a cell phone and having an app um, would be, mm, uh, easy to manipulate, I guess you say, and I don't know how much credence to be and everything, but yeah, I don't know. What's up, Golden Side? Yeah, come on, Golden Side. And yeah. What's up, Herschel? Commercial Herschel is in the house, and Skunk Hollow. Appreciate y'all steadily. Appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate y'all being here. You got your pizza ordered, Matt?
Yeah.
I got me one yesterday. I was eating leftovers on pizza from earlier.
I was actually too tonight before we
Yeah,
started. That's funny.
pizza. It's pizza night. There we go. Heck yeah. What are you gonna like Golden Side might pop in here in a second, but we're gonna tell about your when you have you only been there once, or you've been there multiple times to the Zak Bagans Haunted Museum?
I've been there twice, but I've only went on the tour one time. I'll tell the stories.
Yeah.
Well, I found like I said, back in the day when these ghost stories were not able to talk about, and there's shows like Taps were coming out, and I bought this DVD, and it was like just random ghost stories, and it had it had I think it was just called Ghost Adventure. It was like the very first documentary, was with the Ghost Adventures, and so a good documentary. It kind of opened my eyes to things, thinking about these shows, and thinking about these shows. It exploded, and to this day, I think my wife's in there watching Ghost Adventures right now. There's like 29 seasons or something like that. Crazy how these shows have came out. Lots of ghost shows. I feel that some of them, like Zak Bagans, is I feel like he's solid, but I do feel like a lot, and he's a celebrity, but I feel like a lot of these stories, I feel like it's a kind of 50-50, like things are happening, but a lot of it's exaggerated. Like they could, I don't want to say making up stuff, I say the word exaggerated, like they're adding some stuff to make it entertaining, right? Because nobody would watch it if it wasn't entertaining, so they might be filming for days, get a couple little pieces of evidence just to make it like an hour-long show. But I do think the shows are, like I said, entertaining. They're interesting to watch. I don't think they're all 100% real. I think there is some kind of fakes here and there, or like I said, added things. One of my favorite episodes is an episode of Ghost Adventures where these people were making it up. Like they saw those Paranormal Activity movies, and they were like, they wanted their 15 minutes of fame, and so they were like, had the Ghost Adventures come down, and Zak Bagans was serious about investigating this house, thinking it was haunted by demons, but it turns out it was just the people were messing with them, and they figured it out, and it's like shows like stories like that where they're not every single one is paranormal. They could probably go to some places and not get any evidence, but they're only going to show us the episodes where they do get evidence, right? Anyway, so I got into these shows. I know Zak Bagans started collecting the haunted items, made that museum in Vegas in 2016, I think. In 2017, I went to Vegas with some friends, and we drove down there, and just for reference, to tell people, the museum is not on the Strip. It's it's in like downtown Las Vegas, so it's like a 15-20 minute drive from the Strip. We drove down there, and we were just hanging out, like taking pictures with the sign, taking pictures of the front, and one of the synchronicities. I'm gonna talk about like synchronicities as I go. But one of the things I thought was weird was when you park your car and you walk across the parking lot, right next to the Zak Bagans Haunted Museum, right next to it is a Mason temple,
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Wow.
like right there. And I thought, oh, okay, this is there's so like synchronicity there. So that was just like I said, like a day trip. We didn't go in the house. We just were outside. In 2022, I went back to Vegas. Met up with Mike from Troubled Minds. Had dinner, and all that. But I went out there for other things to just to enjoy a couple days in Vegas and gamble and stuff. And we ended up going to the museum. And so when you go, there's two different tickets. You can get like a regular like ticket, and then they have like they call it the RIP, right? The RIP, the VIP. So you get this cool like badge thing, and you get the shirt, and you get to you see more things. So it's like an extra. It's kind of like an extra, right? Pay. And so I was all in it. I wanted to see everything, so I paid the extra money and went. And so we went, and it was like a random Tuesday night, late at night. So I also recommend that don't if you go, don't go on like a Friday or a Saturday where it's busy.
Oh yeah.
They do have a lot of tours, so I think they kind of try to keep the tours kind of small, because it's like tight spaces. But on the tour that night, it was just me and my wife and the tour guide, so it was really intimate. It was really up close. I was able to take my time, ask questions, and that kind of thing. So we went. You go in. You're kind of watching like Ghost Adventures on TVs in the waiting room, and you go to the first room. There's a sign. There's like a big picture of John Gainwacey as a clown, and there's a sign that says, we're not responsible for if any spirits follow you home. This kind of disclaimer, and you have to sign a waiver saying that if something follows you home, it's not our fault.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's for entertainment purposes, but I thought that was interesting. You have anything on that?
What do you think, James?
Yeah, I was gonna say I've heard of places doing that before. It that are said to be haunted. They'll have waivers. They'll have that kind of thing before you go in there, and you have to sign it and everything. And yeah, so it's not unique to that the Zak Bagans Museum, but it's still. I mean, in a way, I get it legally, uh, but yeah, it's a weird thing. Especially if you're a skeptic. I mean, that doesn't really believe any of that stuff, and you have to sign this waiver to go on this tour. But anyway, yeah, that's interesting though. I wasn't aware that they did that there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Good.
I was gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, it was. It's one of them things. I think it's like you got to do CYA. You got to cover your ass. Somebody's gonna say something and go, oh, this happened and my house burnt down because of Zach Baggins and his spirit. It's one of them things like where there's somebody going to sue. If you don't
Yeah.
cover your tail, it's somebody going to sue. Like say if car breaks down or something, wow, it's because of that Baggins Museum. That's what it was. And
Yes.
they put that liability on him. So I don't blame him.
No.
I get like just like at the gym, I get people to sign a waiver like, look, hey, if you get hurt, because you're being silly, it's on you. It's not on me. You're not listening, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I can't. But go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. And then we met up with a tour guide, and the other thing.
I was gonna say, Sarah's trying to talk, but I don't hear her.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
Okay,
now?
here we go. What's up, Sarah?
Hey everyone.
Hello.
How are you, Matt? And how are you, James?
Okay.
Good. Hey Rumble people. The YouTube people. Hey Ricky. I didn't forget you.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, Matt.
Oh, okay. So the next part we met our tour guide, and the funny thing was the synchronicity there was his name was James, and our tour guide was cool. He was very informative. He knew a lot about the museum. He never broke character. He was like, dressed up like Zak Bagans, all black with the hat.
Oh wow.
and he was like in character the whole time. Really good let us ask questions and knew a lot about the museum. So there's that. So I'm kind of gonna talk about each room, talk about a little about the house itself, and then if I get to a spot where you guys want to go on to like one of the stories, let me know. And I'll stop. But starting off with where I felt things the first time, and kind of the history of the house, what it's about. Um, we're going down the tour, and in the middle of the house is the basement. It's got stairs and it's got like a railing around it. And the tour guide's like, "Yeah, go ahead and go down the basement." And so the story goes is that this guy that built the house, forgive me, I don't remember the dates and the names and stuff. But it was I think it was in the 1800s. He built this house, and the weird thing was is that it was him, his wife, and I think he had two daughters, and he built this 30 room house, like a mansion. And it's like that's weird to me. Why would this guy with a small family build this huge house? And what it reminds me of is it reminds me of the Winchester Mystery House. Sarah Winchester, and how she built this house for the spirits. Like, if you build it, they will come. And I've been there a couple times too. We can talk about some of those stories. But it just reminded me of that. So this guy builds this house. There's like a family curse, some sort of tragedy. I think like tuberculosis outbreak, and they all passed away. The house was left abandoned for a few years. The city took care of it. But during that time, before Zak Bagans bought it, the story goes is that these devil worshippers broke in, and they were like down in the basement. They were doing like satanic, worshiping and sacrificing animals and stuff down there. So it's kind of like scary, to think about that happened. And so the guy's like, just go down there and turn around and come back up. Like, okay. So we go down the basement. And as soon as I get to that bottom step, I step on that bottom step, I get this, dread. I have like weight on my shoulders, like being pushed down. And hair standing up on my arms, just that feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm walking around, and to my surprise, I look down, and I'm seeing there's I'm noticing there's like blood splatter on the wall, and there's like wax everywhere, like wax drippings from candles. And I look down on the ground, and to my surprise, the pentagram is still there. And I was like, "Well, hold on, stop!" And I stopped. Me and my wife, we stopped. Well, I walked around it. Well, in not in magical traditions and witchcraft and stuff, the magic circle is for protection, but also to hold energy and stuff like this. But we know it's a no-no. You don't cross the magic circle. You don't break the magic circle. And there's things like you can add like fairy rings and stuff like that. You don't walk through a fairy ring.
Yep.
And so I walked around it. Like I said, there was like, I don't know if this was all real, like if they like made it like a reenactment, like this is what it looked like. But there was a pentagram on the ground. There was blood splatter. There was wax, like candle drippings. Like there was some sort of seance happened there, some sort of ritual that happened there. I came back up, and I was kind of upset. I was like, it's still there. How many people a day are walking through? Right now there's probably a tour, and people are just walking through the circle, like disrespecting it. I wonder about things like that. I wonder if they know what they're doing, or if it all just is made up. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I'm just thinking too, even if it's made up, it's still, that symbol is still there. So that's not good in a way, to me anyway. And I do wonder about that, and I think about that with these places that they have investigations or they have tours. Ricky and I have talked about this before on the show, where there needs to be a balance, if as much as possible, of researching a place, but also being respectful to whoever may be there, and not bugging them to do to play tricks or to play basically act out on command just for proof or just for entertainment. Um, Now, some of these places, not so much the museum there, but some of these places are run down and need work on them and renovation, and so I can understand in a way uh, them being used for that to make money for that as long as the price isn't crazy. But again, there has to be that respect for the spirits there, and it should not be a 24-hour, 24/7 investigation going on in any of these kinds of places. But that's kind of far off from the museum itself. But I mean, even there should be respect for whoever might be there.
Yeah, having that many items there at one place, I mean, there's got to be a lot of energy there, and so and I agree. Like you said, we talked about this before. Just having that respect. And then with people also more people come in and investigate an area, there's going to be more activity. And I talk about. I hear people, a lot of people talking about that. You're just going to a regular haunted place, and now you have all these haunted, you know, possibly haunted items all at one place, and then you have all this energy of people coming in and out. Um, it's it'd be wild, and I wonder, you hear like if they stopped coming for a while, what would happen? Like well, during COVID, the Queen's Mary and stuff, they were talking about how much energy activity was even more activity was going on it because it was kind of like it was like, hey, wait a minute, um, where is um, where's the people? Where's this?
Yeah.
And I wonder on that situation there at the museum if if all of a sudden, they, well, we gotta close the doors for a couple of weeks, something happened, blah blah blah, and then or more, what kind of activity would they be able to catch like in cameras and stuff like that? But yeah, you had to think about the pentagram and stuff on the floor, so you gotta watch where you step. And I don't know. I go to a graveyard. I watch where I step. I don't like stepping on graves and stuff like that. I make sure I go around, and hopefully I do. For sure the intent there is not to disrespect anybody that's there. But I always go around, make sure I'm not stepping on anybody. I don't know. One of them things that have always um, freaked me out.
You also have to think too of whose health is impacted. Because if there is something nefarious there, somebody's health could be impacted as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Oh, absolutely.
So having all those people go through a museum and stuff like that, even though I wouldn't mind going to the Ed and Lorraine museum, but it's like it's still what health impacts, mental, emotional impacts as well.
Oh, no doubt. Because you can pick up. That's the thing about it is like especially if if your spirit is weak at that moment, or you're just kind of down, or whatever for whatever reason, you can pick up something and carry it on with you, um, and that's not you know something that really people don't really want to do, because you don't know what you're carrying home. It's the bad, scary thing, especially somewhere like that. It's got so many different items that possibly could be very, very um, evil, or just not just evil, just possessed or whatever. Like Robert the Doll. I wouldn't be messing with Robert the Doll. Not take no
No,
chance with that.
no, that's the one that the museum it was in got. There was a flood, and I heard about this and found this online. Supposedly, after the flood, there was damage to the building, and a lot of things got destroyed. But they found Robert the doll like up in the rafters of the museum, not wet at all. Of course, you know
Okay.
who knows how it got up there. Uh, but if the story is true, if it's not any kind of a exaggeration or whatever, well, something or someone moved that doll or it moved itself.
Nothing to worry about. It's all good.
Oh
Think
yeah,
about it.
everything's
Yeah,
fine.
everything's fine. What's up, Tom? Yeah, and I appreciate you. You had me on the panel last night. That was fun, for sure. Appreciate you being here and in the chat.
Yeah, I like what you said about like a bunch of people going there all the time. Is it are we causing the hauntings by going there to investigate it, by going there to see it? I'm reminded of that because when I went to the Winchester Mystery House, I was thinking, it's a haunted place. There's ghosts everywhere. But when I was on the tour, I was in like a big tour with a lot of people. Like I don't know how many people, 20 people, and it's like, no, nothing was going on when I was with those people. But when it was more places where I was closed off, where I was by myself, or I was moving from one room to the other, and I was kind of isolated from everybody else, is when I started picking up on activities that was going on there. So I wonder about that, like the people going through it all the time. That's good. Good observation.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking, and too, some of it is such a subtle and quiet, movements or noises, and you got that many people walking around, like, I mean, there's no way you could pick up, truly pick up something that's such a subtle movement, or just move a cup, or they move something, and then there's no way you're gonna truly hear that or nothing like that when you got so many things, so many people talking and walking around. It's just I don't see how you could. I mean, it's
Yeah,
still interesting to go walk around the tours and stuff like that and see. I imagine seeing the house. It'd be cool to see the house, but
Yeah, the
uh,
history.
yeah, the history of the house. But like, there's truly, if you're going with a big group, I don't see how you would truly sense running any paranormal with that many people, unless they're angry that day. Maybe they.
well, and with that too, you could be hearing stuff that sounds that are common noises like a cup moving or a door closing or opening, and you could just figure, well, it's the staff, it's someone that works there, or it's one of the people on the tour. You hear about this in places where a family lives in a house, and they'll be hearing sounds from other parts of the house, and think, oh, that's just one of the kids or my spouse. But then eventually there'll be a day, let's say after the kids are older and they move out, and it's just one person in the house. They'll still keep hearing those noises,
Hmm.
and then they'll start to wonder, okay, were those noises before, from people that were here, or were they not? Was there no one here at the time, and that just thought there was because it's a house full of people? And it could be any number of things, or residual and time anomalies, all those things, but still, it's not just a regular physical person there at that moment, uh, making the same sounds again.
Hmm. It's like my old house. I had so much stuff, activity over there, and you just think, well, maybe it's just a cat, except for like today, like one of the times I heard like a cabinet door moving and back and forth and kind of banging,
Yeah,
and I looked down and both cats are sitting in my lap, looking over at the cabinets too, like, hey, what was that? And I'm like, I don't know, but we're turning the TV up, and I grabbed a remote and like, there we go.
How many lights did you turn on at that point?
I didn't. I,
No.
no, I'd had to bother the cats. I just turned the TV up a little louder and, you do what you're doing in there, whatever. Um, but yeah, and then later on, of course, we talk about stuff like that, and anybody that stayed in my house, they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, no doubt, it was haunted, Ricky." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, yay!" And I think before, um, and that was before I started bringing the mask in, so
oh,
they just amplified it. I think
yeah,
my friends.
yeah. But no, in some of those places too, one thing I'm always fascinated by is places that have these stories that are told because there's either a legend or there's some historical evidence, or in some cases there's debate if there is any evidence, but yet people still have the experiences where they see an apparition of the person that supposedly died there uh, in that place, then it makes me wonder about how much of that is either all the collective thoughts and energy and emotions of people being told this story about this one apparition that's there, just sort of creating a thought form that then does exist, or some other consciousness being there, hearing all these stories, and taking that form and all that energy focused on those stories and that figure that doesn't exist, but then they take on that appearance.
Hmm. I got a quick question for y'all. This curiosity just popped in my head. So before I lose it, before I lose this thought, if if they turn around and they put a museum and they had like all lots most of the paranormal stuff in the world, whatever, um, or just take one of the places like the Winchester House, and then take all the paranormal stuff, and have like Annabelle and Robert the doll in the same place. Now, would you go?
So,
James, would you sleep? No. I mean, what would you? I mean, would y'all? I mean, would it? You think they would? Um, they'll just magnify that power of or I wonder.
so there is this. Go ahead, James, if you have one.
Oh no, yeah, I think anytime you just bring all these, more and more and more items into a place that are charged with energy or actually have entities attached to them, you're going to have either they're all going to start working together to do things, or there's going to be arguments among them. Sort of like basically fights that you can't see, but maybe they're causing other objects to move. That. Yeah, I think anytime we Ricky and I joked about this before, where we hope that all the major collections never get bought by one person, like and put in one place. Like all the Warren stuff plus all the stuff that Baggins has, put in like let's say the Winchester Mystery House or like the Myrtle's Plantation or what or in one of these like uh, just any old asylum, you know, that's had all kinds of terrible things happen in it, and then there's reports of activity. I'm blanking on Waverly Hills Sanitarium. There we go. Anyway, if you put all that together, I think it's gonna. Now, what the end result's gonna be, I don't know, but it's definitely gonna cause more activity, I would think. But anyway, that's enough rambling for me for now. But go on, Matt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be
Go ahead.
interesting. Just a real quick, just random silly thought, whatever. But yeah, you like said, and maybe conflict and stuff like that. Have
Yeah.
have a cage match with Annabelle versus Robert the doll. Just see who the
Let's
baddest
get
baddest
ready to
doll. Yeah,
rumble.
who's the baddest doll of them all? Uh,
Have certain like
and
special
that's
cameras so that you can see what's happening,
yeah,
even
yeah.
if
That,
nothing's
that
visibly happening.
and that's
Sorry.
what brings in the what's the end of the world happens. That what opens the portal and sends us straight to hell because Annabelle and Robert the doll battle it out. I don't know. Go- well, what do you think, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all this stuff in one location. So before Zak Bagans made his museum, the biggest location of haunted objects in one spot was that the Warrens. I forget where it is. I want to say it's in like Indiana or somewhere over there, on the East Coast. It's so the Warrens were collecting their haunted objects, but I think there's a thing going on here. The reason I think that they were collecting those objects, it wasn't to collect them and keep them in one spot to like really show them off. I think it was to get them to collect them to, like get them off the streets kind of thing. Like,
Right.
get these objects out of the hands of normal everyday people that could accidentally like buy them at a garage sale, or accidentally find these items and bring them home, and then the cursed items they get hurt. They were trying to like take those items away from out of the hands of random everyday people, and put them in one spot so that they're contained, so that they're like keeping them safe.
Yeah.
And Zach Bagans comes along and he's like, put it on display and have it be a museum and charge money to have people come see it. But there was a Ghost Adventures episode a while back. I think it might have been during the pandemic, but they were investigating their house, and they actually crossed, and they brought Annabelle the doll to the Zak Bagans to the Haunted Museum. And I don't know if the guy's name. I forget the guy's name. It was the guy that was the handler for Annabelle, and the stories of like he recently passed away and all that. Before like Matt Rife bought all that stuff afterwards. But the
He
handler.
actually
Go
was
ahead.
showing he was showing off Annabelle. He was in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and he had a heart attack. But he
Yeah.
was the main handler for Annabelle.
Right, that guy. I don't remember his name. Sorry.
I'm trying to think. I think it was David or Daniel something.
Yeah. So he brought the Annabelle doll to Zak Bagans. Of course, Zak Bagans he wants it in his museum. And I think what they did, they set up all the haunted dolls they had in like a circle on chairs, and then they put all their turn the lights off and put all their equipment in there. And as far as for the episode, yeah, they were getting anomalies, cold spots, voices on their EVPs, capturing all kinds of thermal temperature images and stuff. We're getting evidence of paranormal things happening. But the weird thing is that the guy when he brought it, he brought Annabelle and he had it in this case. And if you guys remember, Annabelle's like a Raggedy Ann doll. It doesn't look like the doll in the movies. And so he sits there and he's very adamant about this. Like, this doll has caused people to die. Right? There's people have had heart attacks. People have had bad fates happen to them when they make fun of the doll or if they disrespect the doll. And so he's very serious about it. He's like, look, I'm gonna be the only one to touch the doll. Nobody else touches the doll. That's it. So he puts the doll. He takes the doll out of the case and he sets it down. And of course, Zak Bagans comes along, and he's like, oh, he like gets hurt and he like falls. And he reaches up and he touches the doll's leg.
Oh jeez.
And he doesn't know that the guy is in another room watching the cameras and the night vision cameras. And so he freaks out. He's like, I told you not to touch the doll. And he freaks out on Zak Bagans. He starts going off on him. And he takes the doll and he packs it up and he leaves. He stops the experiment. And I think what that was, I think it was a test to see if Zak Bagans could, if he could handle Annabelle. And he failed the test.
You know, the important point too that you all
Failed
brought up
greatly.
is, yeah,
Failed greatly.
yeah. I'm just thinking too. I mean, with the Warrens Museum, everything there, that was brought there, and I've heard about this, like certain symbols and everything, like important, sort of you could say magic was used to protect people from these things. I haven't heard. Maybe I don't know if you noticed anything, Matt, but I haven't heard anything about any of that kind of precautions being taken with the Baggins Museum.
Yeah, I can talk about that as I talk about the rooms, but the way I see it is like certain haunted objects, like the big haunted objects, the exhibits. The way it's set up is that you're walking through this house, and you're going into each room is one exhibit, or one themed room, and in each room they stop, they tell you, okay, in this room is this haunted item. Do you want to go in? Like, yeah. So you go in, and the tour guide does not go in the room with you. They stay on the outside and they watch you from a camera. And I think what they're doing there is they're trying to like limit the exposure of the items to like the tour guides.
Yeah.
And a lot of these, especially like the like I said, the bigger ones, I'll talk about those at the end, like the grand finale of the tour. What they would do is you go into the room, it'd be an empty room, or there'd be like themes, like things on the walls, and Zak Bagans would pop up and tell the story of what you're about to see. You're about to see this, and then it'll say like, do you want to stay in the room, you have 30 seconds to leave, or the door will lock. And so it counts down a timer, 30 seconds, the door locks, and then the exhibit opens up. Like, the wall opens like a Star Wars door.
Oh wow.
and then the item is behind the glass, a glass, and there's a you can't walk up to it. So go ahead.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. I'm just wondering if it's only glass, then that's not. That's a physical protection. But again, there's no spiritual or Yeah, I'm just curious about that whole aspect of all that because um, if there's not, then that's again that's no safety. I mean, for the people anyway, no safety, no protection. Again, that word to people that are going there to see these things. So I mean, so I guess if a big enough, so getting back to your question earlier, Ricky, if everything was put in one place, maybe it could be okay if everything had the right barriers around each individual item. Maybe. But I still wouldn't want to do that just in case one of those barriers, or multiple of them, get accidentally or intentionally broken. That would not be good.
Yeah, yeah. I do have a story. I was kind of gonna try and go in order, but since we're just kind of bouncing ideas and talking to each other, I do have a story about that there, and the story is about one of the exhibits they has on display. This is like one of the big ones. Is the Dybbuk box. Now the Dybbuk box, for those that don't know, there were these like wine boxes. They said they hold spirits, and it kind of reminds me of like a genie in a bottle. But these Dybbuk boxes are out there, like trapped spirits inside, and the owners of these Dybbuk boxes were like, having like bad fates, people around them dying, being like cursed basically, and bad things happening to them. So, and they sell them at like garage sales and stuff. And again, Zak Bagans, he wanted to, like I said, take those dangerous items off the street, put them into one spot. And so there's a couple of Dybbuk boxes there. There's one room, it's called the Dybbuk box room. So you go in, and there's Dybbuk boxes on the walls behind the glass. But the main Dybbuk box, the one that the story is most people know. So you go in the room, and there's this it's in the middle of the room. There's this pedestal, and the Dybbuk box is on this table. And I remember in the shows, they had like a glass case around it, but when I went, it was different. There was this another barrier wall of glass built around the table, and this wall, wall, it was wood, but it had glass in it, and inside the glass was these like Hebrew letters, golden Hebrew. And I recognized, I don't know how to speak Hebrew or read Hebrew, but I recognized what it was. And so I asked the tour guide, "Hey, what's this?" He said, "Oh, these are Hebrew prayers of protection, going around, circling around the case." And so the story goes is that, like 2 weeks before we were there, it was just a glass case and the Dybbuk box was on a table. There was no extra wall protection. And the thing is, and I can attest to, when I went there, when I got into that room, I instantly felt like queasy to my stomach, like sick to my stomach, like lightheaded, dizzy. I could not explain that. I didn't have any of that before. And what they're saying is that 2 weeks before we were there, there was a couple in that room. And one of the guys, he passed out. He fell down, and he fell on his partner, and it like broke her leg, like broke her knee or her ankle maybe, or her foot, like fell and broke her leg. Like she tried to catch him, and he fell and hit and broke her leg. And so now you have a guy passed out and a lady with a broken leg in like the heart of the museum. And so going back to that, what we were talking about earlier about the paramedics, they call the paramedics. And I'm trying to imagine like the paramedics have to go through the haunted house to get
Jeez.
the people out. I wonder if they have a story. So they get the people out, and they call Zach. What do we do? And Zach had thought that maybe he's like, well, that's weird. People get dizzy, and this phenomenon has been happening. A lot of people pass out or fall down in that room, and they're trying to think that maybe the spirit inside the Dybbuk box was trying to get people to pass out, fall over, and knock the table over, and knock the item off the table to open it up to let the spirit out.
Yeah.
And so they put that extra barrier on it. Also, another thing interesting about that, I want to say, there's another thing I noticed. Inside the box, on the table, around the Dybbuk box, there was this weird, like, ash. Like, what is that? And they say, oh, that's sage. Every day, we put fresh sage, a ring of fresh sage, around the Dybbuk box. But every day, we have to replace it because it rots.
Lovely.
And just for me, like, I've been working with sage for years. I've never once have I ever known that sage. I didn't even know sage could rot or go bad. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So you have that going on, the sage rotting, and then also I like that you brought that up, the extra barriers of protection, the Hebrew letters around it, prayers to kind of keep it in. So yeah, they do stuff like that to try to mitigate any kind of like contact like that. So I'm glad. You brought
Okay.
that up.
Yeah, not just. I mean, to me, again, that respect that for not only whatever entities may be there, but for the people that are going there to visit. Like you said, for the tour guides. I mean, I don't blame them for not even going into the rooms if they're having to do that multiple times a day. Uh, yeah, it makes sense that they would, have the option of no, I'm not going to go there. How many ever times a day that they have tours.
Yeah, I mean, if I lived in Vegas, I would definitely apply to work there. But yeah, I feel that they give you the option. Certain rooms. So like, if you don't want to be exposed to it, you don't have to. You can stay out, or they give you a chance to get out of the room before they expose you to the item. I thought it was pretty cool. Um, Anything else? Want to move to another room, or
Yeah, you can go.
what do you think about that? Though, do you have anything?
Hey guys, I'm gonna drop down. Thanks for letting me on, Ricky.
Yeah, no problem.
Y'all have a good night. Bye, James. Bye, Matt.
Good night.
Here, Versailles.
Um, Let me talk real quick. Talk about one of my favorite rooms. Like I said, the rooms were like themed. Each exhibit. One of the rooms I went to, I called it the celebrity room, and they had a bunch of like artifacts from celebrities, personal belongings. They had stuff, and they had like their clothes and stuff on the like mannequins. Some of the stuff they had the chair and the clothes that Michael Jackson died on. They had a bunch of Michael Jackson stuff there. They had Sharon Tate's wedding dress with the blood still on it. They had a bunch of stuff from like Chris Farley, which I really like that. Chris Farley, one of my favorite comedians, actors.
Yeah.
They had, I forget the guy, one of the Ghostbusters that passed away. But they had a bunch of his suit and his pack.
Harold Ramis.
Ghostbusters. They had a bunch of his stuff. They had a bunch of like celebrity things. They had the jacket that Brandon Lee wore in The Crow before he died. That was a really cool thing to see. But I'm walking down this thing, and I came to this glass case, and in this glass case, there's a bunch of ritual items, like a wand, a chalice, a bell, a spell book, a robe. A lot of these things were like handmade, handcrafted items. Oh, that's interesting. What's that? So I asked the guy, hey, what's this? So, oh, all that stuff belongs to Patrick Swayze. And I was like, the Swayze? Really? And I never put two and two together. I never thought about it, but going back and now thinking about it, going back and looking at it, like Patrick Swayze was a magician, and he hit it well. But going back and watching those movies and seeing like he used magic to like manifest those roles and manifest those spots that he played. I thought that was really interesting because I didn't know that.
Huh. Wow.
So yeah, next time you watch a Patrick Swayze movie, think about that, like how he was a magician. That's pretty cool. I thought that was cool. Um, there's a room, the Oddfellows room. There's real life skeletons in there. Um, I don't like, as far as I could tell, like I didn't touch them, but I got close to see them. Yeah, they look like real skeletons. I did have weird feelings in there. It's just weird being in a room with skeletons.
Let's go, Ricky. We gotta go there first.
Mm, I'm right behind you.
Uh huh. Figured you'd say that.
Um, there's a poltergeist room. The movie Poltergeist. A lot of artifacts from that movie. You guys know the stories of that, like the curse of that movie and how a lot of the actors and actresses died there. And then they have it set up. They have like, the big TV with the static on the TV, and a doll of the little girl in front of the TV.
Oh
Like
wow.
they're here. So they have stuff like that, like exhibit set up. Um, they had
More
a
dolls.
yeah, they had a oh I could do some dolls. They had one room, Peggy the doll. That was kind of weird. Haunted dolls freak me out, but this doll called Peggy the doll, and it's responsible for like they said like after people interact with it, people have heart attacks, and so this doll was like everyone was like scared of it. You have to like respect it. Say hi to the doll, say goodbye to the doll. And so we go in, we walk in, and we go around. There's this glass case with the doll, and I look into the doll's eyes, and this doll is like, it was like looking into a person's eyes, like actual looking into like the soul of a person. So we were like, we were like, hi Peggy, bye Peggy, and the crazy thing was is that in that room there was a spirit box running, so you hear the ch-ch-ch-ch-ch, and there was a little girl talking to us through the spirit box. And I thought, it's probably just like I said, a recording or some sort of
Right.
entertainment, joking with you. But when I came out, the tour guide was like, "Wow, Peggy was really talking to you guys. You guys hear that doll, or that little girl talking to you through the spirit box? That doesn't always happen." And again, they say that to everybody, right? But
Right.
I think that was interesting. Just the whole doll aspect, doll stories. They had a whole bunch of creepy dolls there. And one doll there that looked like a real person. I thought it was a real person. But yeah, the haunted doll stuff, man. I don't know. I don't like that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I could do that. We had a guest on a few weeks ago. He was doing like you were talking about, like the Warrens were doing stuff like that, and he had several dolls behind him, and was talking about how he was just trying to pull them out of circulation. Where he didn't want somebody else to get them, and it was some of the stories he told with him. It was just like, nah, no way I've had that sitting there on my wall. He had one. He said it, and the way I described it one way, and he said, "Yeah, that's how it was." It was just like, I'm talking about Ghostbusters, like Ghostbusters 2, and Big O pulled his like come out of the painting and turned his head and was looking and watching. He said that doll actually had a face coming out of that doll and did the same thing. I'm like, there's no way in blue hell I'd had that sitting on my shelf in my room, in my house. But I mean, I understand that. I respect, like, he's trying to make sure nobody, like, little kid, or picks it up or something like that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a story like that. My mother-in-law she was collecting haunted dolls to sell like at our we had like a little witch shop, so we were like buying haunted dolls off of eBay when it first became popular, and how we bought this doll, and it was coming from Europe, and the weird thing was like this doll it never came, it never showed up to our house, it went back. Like it didn't cross customs or anything. It went back to It went back to the seller. So there's like,
Wow.
I'm thinking of all the funny scenarios, like the UPS guy, you know, it's just, or something happened. I don't know what happened. Like they didn't give us an explanation. It's just the doll didn't come. Maybe the doll didn't want to be with us. I don't know, all kinds of crazy stuff. But that story always kind of creeped me out because, you know, what's going on there if this stuff is real. Yeah, I just don't. I don't like the doll's eyes.
Yeah, I heard a story about one doing that before. It was, you know, he had sold it or gave it away or something like that, and the next thing you know, it's back at their house. You know, back in the room. You know, like, um, you know, it was one of them things like, man,
Yeah, Sloppy the dummy from Goosebumps.
mm. As long as it's not like that. There was a no. I did hear see a story that was um, it was the guy just messing with his kid, and he turned around and his son come down there and watched him. I think he watched him Chucky, and he turned around and the kid went to sleep and everything. And he threw his Chucky doll away. Well, he found it in the trash, so he picked it back up and set it back in his room. You're like, whatever, you know, what happened here? Knocked it in there. So the kid freaked out. He was, you know, so then he tore it up, you know, and then threw it in the trash. Well, his dad figured out what he was doing and just being a dad, and he sewed it back together and put it back in his room. And so the kid turned around and seen it again and freaked out, and took it outside and tore it up and buried it. Well, his dad gets home from work, goes out there, unburies it, sews it back together, and he's at a bunk bed and he hangs that thing on his bunk bed, so it's sitting there hanging and looking at this poor child, and so of course when he wakes up, he is just absolutely terrified out of his mind. But poor kid probably had to have therapy on after all that. Uh, Let me shout out. We got Derek the Night Stalker in the chat tonight. What's up, Derek? Looking forward to Wednesday. Got Greg in the Rumble side, and Hiker and Puff has slid in. Well, I spoke to him on the chat wise, but I can always shout them out real quick. But appreciate y'all being here. But go ahead, Matt. You can continue. I just want to tell that funny story real quick because
Yeah, that's fine. Just a couple more rooms. I kind of want to talk about. Just interesting stuff. There was a cowboy room that had like weapons from the Wild West, like, you know, Wild Bill Cody's pistols, stuff like that. Like I said, I like history, so that was really cool to see all that kind of stuff, like stuff from Sacagawea, stuff from Sitting Bull, like, all kinds of artifacts like that from back then. They had on display. That was really cool. They had Dr. Kevorkian's van on display.
Wow.
And with that, you know, like I didn't really know that story very well. I was a little kid when that happened, and but I remember I go in the room and instantly I just felt sad. I felt like really like sad and depressed. And then of course, you know, find out what happens, you know, with that, you know, Dr. Kevorkian's van.
mm-hmm.
And then they had a prison room, and this prison room, it was like, you know, it's like you're walking through a prison, and I asked, you know, hey, how did you guys build this? And they said, oh, all these items are from a prison, like all the light fixtures, the walls themselves, the cell bars, they're all from like taken from actual other prisons, and they built this exhibit. And they had like a sound recording of like what it sounds like in a prison, like playing on a loop. so it like really felt like you were walking through like an active prison. You hear like the chains dragging and the cell bars, the cell doors opening and closing. And so walking through, and they had on display, they had all these like artifacts and personal items, and the ashes of famous serial killers. So they have like Charles Manson's ashes, John Wayne Gacy's ashes, Jeffrey Dahmer, right, the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. They had all their like ashes. They had their personal belongings there. And one of the things that's like kind of like a synchronicity like with me is that all that stuff, well, Charles Manson, the Zodiac Killer, and Richard Ramirez. That was all here, like where I'm at, like happening around where I'm at. And the fun fact is, at the prison in my town is where Charles Manson was for like 20 years. He didn't die here; he died in San Quentin, but he was here in this town for this whole time. Charles Manson was here. So I told the tour guide that, and he was like, "Oh." Crazy. What do you think about that? All the serial killers.
What do you think,
Yeah,
Jay?
the prison, and then all the stuff from the serial killers. Um, I mean, prisons. So many prisons are said to be haunted. Just so many. It's like it's one of those kinds of places. Prisons, hotels, hospitals, um, anywhere where people
Asylums.
are coming and going. And staying for periods of time. That's energy that's being left there by all these people, uh, hundreds to thousands of people. So all that stuff being taken from a prison, from different prisons, um, you know, all you need is one or two items that have energy attached to them or consciousness or whatever. But if even half of them have anyone there with them, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of energy.
Yeah, I thought it was cool how they built it and they used real items from other prisons to make that exhibit. That's really
Yeah.
cool. And one of the last ones I'll talk about this story. There's an exhibit there, exhibit from what they call it the Hell House. It was a Ghost Adventures documentary that Zak Bagans made a while back, and the story is this. It's about this house, and I think like Gary, Indiana. And the story goes is that this house it was being like possessed, plagued by demons, and people didn't live there very long. People move out, and this family moved in, and they're being tormented by these demons. And it happens a lot where people buy a house or buy a property, and it's haunted, and they want to move out, but they can't. Financially they have all their money in the house, they can't move
Right.
out. It probably happens a lot. What do you do? And so Zach Bagans goes there. He sees how traumatized this family is, and so he offers to buy the house from the woman. She moves out. He buys the house to investigate it, and so Zach Bagans goes. He goes to the house. He's getting all this evidence. A story goes is that he's sitting on the bed, and he's looking out. So how it started was in the basement. They had this basement. It had the stairs that it went out and flat and then turned like an L shape. And underneath the basement, there was still dirt. Like the basement wasn't finished all the way. Like it had dirt. And so every time people tried to like finish the basement, like pour cement or do anything, they would get scared and then they wouldn't be able to complete the job. So they start digging down in that dirt and they start finding devil worshipping items. They start finding like hair and voodoo dolls and ritual items like daggers and chalices. They start finding all this like ritual, demonic, satanic, like tools. And so they kind of attributed that to that's what caused the haunting. Anyway, so Zach Bagans is investigating the house, and he says that he's sitting on the bed. He's looking down the hallway, and he said that a demon came and like slashed his eyes. And he got scared. He left. And then the weird thing is that after that happened, Zak Bagans had some sort of like rare eye disease that his doctors didn't know like what happened to it, like how it could have happened. But he has this like rare eye disease. He's like slowly losing his eyesight, and that happened after that demon attack. And so he goes back. He's like, I don't want anyone else to experience anything like that. So he destroys the house. He demolishes it. And something we can talk about there. What happens? What happens to the spirits? Do they leave? Are they stuck in that spot still? But then so he demolished the house. But he took the staircase, took it apart, and he took the dirt under the staircase and the ritual objects, and he took them back to his museum and he rebuilt it. And it's on display. It's one of those displays where the wall opens up. And when I was exposed to that, I don't know if it was the stairs themselves, the dirt, or the items. But again, I had that like heavy feeling on my chest, hair standing up on my arms. Like felt cold, felt like clammy and shivery. So I don't know what's going on with that there, but that was another exhibit that I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah,
It's
that's
called Hell House.
yeah, that's I remember watching that. I watched that documentary that they did, the show they did on that demon house and stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah, I do. I know I watched a bunch of shot docs and all that. I know I can't which one it was with the Cindy Kaza was in it, and I can't think of his another guy name, but um, dang it, me my name and names, but I do believe that just because like a building or something like that gets knocked down or whatever, that doesn't stop it from the area, because you hear about stuff, and then you hear stuff, you get built on top of a place, and then they start having activity. So I mean, I don't think that tearing down the building would stop whatever in the world that happened. Truly, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it is possible. I wonder if it like could stop, like if there was a actual, like they thought was like a portal, like a the portal to hell, whatever, right there. Would it close that portal, or it's one of the things, like if you don't know what you're messing with, really. Like, okay, if you did, maybe you do shut it down, or maybe do you open it up to a bigger splotch of area in that area, land
Yeah.
or whatever, and open,
Set it free.
yeah, set it free and put more people in danger when you do stuff like that, instead of just like boarding it up and go, all right, nobody get in here, I'm locking this thing down, and nobody can ever be in here again. I don't know. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I think places, they can definitely have energy or consciousness in them before, during, or after a building is there. I mean, so many places I've heard about over the years, they started off as one thing, and then uh, they were changed into another, or the entire building was taken down and a new building put up, and there's still activity in the new building. So, but then also, it sounds like something or some energy still did travel with that remnant of the staircase, and possibly, I mean, the items that were transferred with it to that museum. As usual, it's all of the above. So yeah, there's probably still stuff at that original location, and yeah, there's probably stuff at the museum now.
That's what I believe. I believe I was attached to the items, but
Yeah.
another place that's like that reminds me of this is this place called Bobby Mackey's Music World.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
believe it's in Kentucky. I think
Yes.
it's over there. But that place, is supposed to be an active haunted location. A lot of people investigated it. I'm pretty sure Zak Bagans went there a couple times. Lots of people go there, and the story with that was like, if I remember right, there was murders there. There was all kinds of bad things that happened in like the Prospect times and stuff like that, during Prohibition and stuff. But there was like some murders. If I remember correctly, it was like there was murders, and they were like cutting people's heads off and throwing them down the well. And it's like you want to you want to get a haunted well. There you go. So this place is like super haunted. People have been investigating it for years. Lots of stories, lots of witness accounts of paranormal activity happening in this place. And over time, that bar, it was so old and so dilapidated that they realized that they couldn't keep patching it up. So they demolished it. They tore it down. And when it happened, how I found out about it, I watched a paranormal show, and they were like, "Yeah, this is the last investigation of Bobby Mackey's before they tear it down." And it was even on the news, like showing they tore down that bar. The bar moved to another town, for like while they tore it down, and then they were gonna build another bar on top of it, and move it back. So the questions start becoming things like, is it the land that's haunted? Is it the house that's haunted? When you demolish the house, are the spirits like set free? Are they still stuck there? They can't, maybe the house, what's a house to a ghost? Just walls. So I have like many questions, what if my other question would be, I guess, if they do build another bar on top of it, is it going to be, is the activity going to increase? Or is it going to be a different type of energy, a different type of entity that haunts people? Or all the above.
Yeah.
But yeah, that story got me like thinking about all kinds of weird stuff. But what spirits are, made me start thinking about what are these spirits, what's going on there, and what happens when you tear a house down that's haunted. Are they tied to the house still? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, and for sure. I mean, and the possibilities, is one of them things. Like like I said, if it's so so rough, that that's what they had to do. But if something there was truly, somebody's getting it going down the road. If somebody was truly, attached to that building, you know, are they going to be super when they build it back up? Are they going to be angry as hell? Like, hey, you tore down. This is what I like. This is how it was. I mean, I wonder. I got some questions now on it. I didn't know they had tore it down. Are they going to build it just like it was, or going to make it new or different? Different layout and stuff. And will that would that change if they do to the changes? Would that cause the spirits to be angry or increase activity, or will they ever be able to finish it? Because sometimes you hear stuff like that when they do that. They have so many problems and stuff. I remember there was a house out there near my parents' house and stuff like that. I always wondered if that thing was haunted, because I know like 3 people died trying to build it, and they finally just gave up for a long time. After having so many setbacks, so many issues, and then people actually, losing their life, trying to build this house. And it wasn't like a big mansion or like that. It was just a simple, regular, probably like 2,500 square foot house. And like, it wasn't nothing, but wherever it was at, like, but later on, somebody finally did tear that down and build something else there. But I wonder if, that was that kind of thing, that just that energy on that place, will they be able to do it, and what will be the consequences of their actions once it's done? I'm curious now.
Yeah, we talk about like renovating houses and stuff like that, and I do believe in that because I've experienced it. But we're not talking about just renovating a house here. We're talking about tearing it all the way. They demolished it all the way down, and then they're gonna start pouring a foundation and start a whole new bar. And I think they're gonna make it better, more modern, right? Because that building was like from I don't know when was Prohibition. The building was from Prohibition.
I think from
20s, 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, at this point, from like everything I've read and heard, and it seems to me like so much of why spirits go or stay in places, it does have to do with their personality and their mindset or their belief system. Uh, where if they think that they're trapped there, then that's what it seems like to them. Uh, if someone is able to go there to a place and build up a relationship, a communication with whoever's there, and sort of give them more information and different point of view, then you do hear about in some cases the activity stops. You have cases where the spirits that are there aren't trapped there; they just like the place. That is their idea of like a good afterlife, so to speak, or they just visit here and there. So it does really, and again, I don't know, I don't have any information as far as like, sources. Any one person or any one spirit told me any of this. No, but just if when you look at case after case after case, um, they always seem to react in different ways to their state of being, and then also to people as people come and go.
Yeah, and that reminds me of we were talking about earlier, Beetlejuice. You know the I forget their ghosts that come back to that house, and then the Deets buy the house and they start renovating and start tearing down the walls and painting and moving stuff, and the ghosts are like, "Mom, no, I painted that wall." You know?
Yep. Yep.
I
Yep.
do believe in that
Movie.
the renovation stuff.
Oh yeah.
But just to finish off the Zach Bagans stuff here. After I do recommend going if you guys get a chance. Um, it is a good experience. You go at the end, you go through the gift shop, you buy all the stuff. I bought the book, Zach Bagans' book. It's a good book. It's a good read. Talks about him, his life, and kind of talks about how he got into all this stuff. Of course, they give you through the gift shop, and they sell sage at the gift shop that's like $60. But
Jeez.
it was a good experience. I do want to go back. I do like talking about this stuff, and I did do an episode on it on my podcast, kind of go into the details and more stuff. We can talk about more, but I was gonna say if you go, it is a house. It's an old house. There's stairs. Don't wear like sandals or like high heels if you're a girl, and just go and check it out. Be open minded. If not for the haunted objects themselves, just for, like the history. There's all kinds of history there. So if you do end up in Vegas, it's a cool place to check out, and interesting conversation, interesting topics, just to throw those ideas out there. So I thank you guys for letting me share those stories.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
man.
I'm just glad
Yeah, for
Ricky,
sure. I'm
sorry.
glad. No, you're good. You're good, James. Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you are able to come on and talk about it and talk other stories. And what's up, Fred? Got Fred in the chat now.
Wow.
Getting all the trouble minds in the chat. Um, yeah, it's really interesting to see hear some of the history and the stuff that's going on and some of the stuff they got there and just like are bouncing our ideas on some of the things of the possibilities of you know bringing more items together and um, I don't know. I heard we were talking about Matt Rife earlier. I know he's looking to buy a bunch of stuff. I'm not sure what his intentions are. Like why is he if he's just interested in it or what you know in the field or what's going on there. I wonder on that what
Yeah,
his ideas. You know.
Matt Rife. I like him as a comedian. I don't really know him very well, but he's a really funny comedian.
Mhm.
But the thing I got of it is that at first I was like, who is this guy? Why is he buying this stuff? But I started realizing, he is into it. He's been doing it for a while. He's been doing ghost hunting. He was friends with the Warrens, and I feel like he is kind of doing it out of respect, as best as he can. But again, here we have another celebrity. Like he was already a celebrity, so he had the money. What's going on there? Anybody that has money can just buy these items. I don't think anybody should like own them. I feel like the place should be kept. Like I said, like they had talked about how they had handlers. I don't think any one person should own them. I think they should, if they are in one spot like that, they should be like for the public, for people to study them and investigate them and learn about them, learn the stories and the history, and also investigate them, find out what's going on. Maybe one day we'll have the technology to find out what's going on with this stuff. So it's cool that kind of having them all at one spot. So we have two museums of haunted items, the Warrens and Zak Bagans, and talk about what would happen if they all were all in one spot. Well, we know what happens when we put stuff in one spot. It's and things like this that are unique items that are one of a kind. They cannot be replaced. We gotta think about things like if there's a fire, if there's if some sort of damage happens. Like James was talking about that one place that there was a flood. How many items did we lose? And how many haunted items got lost in a flood right there? So having them all in one place is dangerous. I think it's cool just have it separated like that. Unfortunately, like I'm on the West Coast, I could go to this one, but I don't see myself going to the other one. I would love to have if I had the chance. But like haunted locations around the world, I kind of want to see them all. There's a couple places I won't go, like that Waverly Hills Sanitarium. At Penn State, I don't think I'll ever go there either. It's too scary.
Yeah.
But I've been to Winchester. I've been to Winchester Mystery House. I've been to Alcatraz. I've been to Queen Mary. I've been to a couple of hotels around here that are supposed to be haunted. The Union Hotel in Benicia. They have like a 100-year-old bar. Like the wood is
Nice.
like 100-year-old. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, I do enjoy going to these places. Not necessarily, like I said, not necessarily do like ghost hunting, but just to feel what I can feel or see what I see, and also the history, and then sharing
Oh
the
yeah.
story with you guys.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah. Go ahead, James.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, it is kind of funny too that these two locations are like on the ends of the nation, so to speak. I think that's kind of makes me wonder about how did that happen? Like, were there forces that kind of arranged that? But also, the thing I wanted to mention earlier too about the location of Bagans Museum being right by a Masada temple is fascinating to me because I've heard so many reports and read so many reports online about activity, paranormal activity in and around these Masonic temples. Um, and so I really wonder about how all that works and, you know, why they have, I mean, again, is it not even saying it's anything against the organization themselves, but just is it because you have people there that are going there and meeting there all the time and, emotions again, people coming and going and all that. I wonder if that's part of it, or if there's something else that we're just not aware of yet.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what was built first. I mean, obviously the museum moved there. The museum didn't open it until 2016, but like the house was there. The house was there for a long time. So I wonder what was built first. But then fun things too about facts about like we're talking about the Oddfellows and like secret organizations, secret places like that. There's an Oddfellows lodge like 2 blocks away from me. So
Huh.
there's all kinds of weird stuff like going on. There's all kinds of weird, creepy stuff going on over there all the time. So it's interesting to see. Like I said, two places next to each other. I just thought it was a weird synchronicity. There was a temple right there.
Yeah, that is neat though.
Zach Bagans is from Vegas, so
Okay.
I think that's why I think that's why he put it there.
Yeah, I think so. I think I remember him say something about that, and just plus the history of Vegas and stuff. It'd be a good spot. What do you think on the Jason Hawes buying the Conjuring house and that whole situation? Have you looked into that, Matt?
Yeah, like I said, it is weird, to be able to buy a location like that. I don't know. I didn't hear. I heard that they bought it, but I didn't know what their plans are for it. Like, are they gonna like do tours? Can you go there?
Yeah, I
I
think
wonder
they're
about
supposed
places
to.
like that.
Yeah, I think they're trying to renovate it and kind of save it. It's been kind of, it was in bankruptcy, and they're um, and now but actually one of the sisters that owned it was kind of did a lawsuit and um, trying to stop them and stuff like that. But I think that just got dismissed. So I think they got the green light where they can actually turn around and actually buy the spot and start, like renovations and stuff like that. I think they are trying to, open it up, but being respectful is what I understand. But I guess time will tell what they actually do. But like I said, it is interesting seeing these TV celebrities and stuff like that able to buy these historic spots. That's kind of made the genre in the last 100 years and stuff. Hearing these stories and stuff like that. So um, you know, there's always got to be if they're trying to save it and stuff like that. Of course, you need some kind of return on investment. They're going to spend um,
Yeah.
1.3, I think it is, a 1.3 million dollars on something. They got to get somehow they got to get some of that money back. And plus it's going to cost money to keep it up and stuff like that. So, but hopefully they do it all respectful and nothing wild and crazy or kind of disrespect to.
Yeah, it reminds me of they. I think they turned the Lindsay Bourdain house into a bed and breakfast. I would like to go there to investigate it, but I don't know if I'll stay in the night. I don't know about going to sleep. I don't know
James
if I'll
did
be
it.
able to sleep. It was like a axe murders, right? A bunch of axe
Yeah,
murders that
yeah.
happened there. Yeah.
I seen a cool the Lizzie Borden story or the shot doc. It was really good, and I think the way they were trying to figure out, like, basically she was framed for it, and
Right.
I think it was her uncle or something like that is the ones that actually did it. But of course back then, once something came up and something was you got blamed for something, you couldn't let it. Little towns and stuff wouldn't let that shit go. No matter what happened, because uh, she didn't get convicted of it.
Right.
You know, but of course nobody would ever did say that. Oh yeah, that happened. So now it's I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty wild and pretty gruesome. If you look into the history of the Lizzie Borden, you know how brutally they were murdered, and how you think of some little girl that did it. It's just the anger or possession that made her do it must have been insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think there is. I really wish that um, there wasn't so much focus on like popular culture. Like there's so much of like what you hear nowadays is that she Lizzie Borden did it. But then like you're saying, there's also you know people that nowadays are looking into things and saying, well, maybe she didn't. But if you go there to that house, what are a lot of people gonna think of right away? That she did it. And again, it goes to that whole idea of thought forms and energy and just the emotions and all that. Uh, Meanwhile, I'd be tempted to go there, even if it's just to say, I'm sorry that these things happened, and I'm open to any information you all want to share. You know, uh, in other words, it's sad that it has to be this fear has to be this thing that you know it's sought after so much that it 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 um it is preferred over possible truth. in some of those places, in those cases.
Yeah, I feel as long as it's done with like respect, I think
Yeah.
they can do it. But yeah, I see Night Stalker talking about over on the East Coast. Like I'd love to go over there and see some of the haunted stuff over there, man. Like a lot of tragedy and a lot of like I said, the history, and all the wars and Civil War and all that stuff over there. Man, there's got to be a lot of the whole place is probably haunted.
Oh wow! Just I'm looking at. I seen Derek was talking about the Crowley house, and I knew they was under renovation, but um, interesting. If you have the ways and you get across the big pond there, you can actually go to out Crowley's house now. They actually finished um, restoring it, and after two fires, it's actually open to the public for the first time in 260-year history.
After 2 fires, okay.
Which
How far
for the
apart
ones
were
that don't.
those fires?
Uh, Trying to let's see. Let me see it says on here. Of course, for the ones that don't know, it was Aleister Crowley had it. You know, very well known Satanist. You know, Hillary Clinton's daddy. No, I'm just saying. Got to throw a little politics in it, James. Jimmy
Uh-huh.
Page owned it for a little
Uh-huh.
bit. Let's
See how you
see.
are. Yeah, all right.
I did. That is a rumor now. There's some family ties there to the Crowleys. Interesting little fun facts and stuff like that. Of course, you get to use the Loch Ness sitting there. Um, let's see.
Is that the house like he was doing rituals and they said something like he did a ritual and he left the portal open on purpose. If I remember right, if I remember that story.
Yeah,
That
that's what people think anyway. Yeah.
or like he failed the spell somehow, and that I think that's where Nessie came from.
Yeah, that too. Yep.
The
Eh.
two fires was 2015 and then 2019,
Mm, okay. Huh.
so it was a lot later, and it's yeah, I think so. I know there's an interesting graveyard right across the street from it too. I remember watching what's the name of it? There's a YouTube channel and the guy and his wife they go around and travel to different places and stuff like that. And, um, I gave me some ideas on doing some shows and stuff sometimes, but yeah, they were over there. Of course, they couldn't get access to it. All they do is run the road, and they get to walk around the graveyard and stuff, which was really, really old graveyard. Um, yeah, Allison Crowley could be a whole show on this.
Yeah.
It could be a series, all that crazy stuff, but he could be a whole show for sure on his own.
Well, and it could even be a Wednesday show as well, because I mean, I've heard he was possibly involved in like espionage and things too.
There's lots of
So
history on Mr. Crowley there.
yeah.
Lots of history there.
Yeah.
He was a ceremonial magician, a poet, an artist, a novelist, a prophet, a journalist, and a mountaineer and a spy.
There we go.
The
Big
more
rap
you
sheet.
know. Do what, man?
That's a big rap sheet
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a laundry
on your
list of things there.
on your resume.
Yeah, that's a hell of a resume right there.
Yeah, it reminds me of John D, the magician. He was a court magician for for the queens and kings. It's like, how do you get
Yeah.
that job?
Good question. Not that I want
So-
it, but good question.
but that kind of just proves to me, that if they believe in it, there's got to be something there. Otherwise, they
Yeah.
wouldn't do it, right? And yeah, Aleister Crowley, he was all about in that stuff too. He was doing like darker stuff, but he did create a lot of things, and I think a lot of his stuff was like misunderstood. Um, I never actually read any of his books, but I have a couple of his tarot decks. Looked into him. I could do a show on that too as well. Just go into the history of his life and what he did. He did a lot of stuff in his life.
It's interesting.
Did a lot of good stuff for witchcraft.
This is interesting. I did not know this part. Derek just said the house was not far from Betty and Barney Hill, the one in one of the most famous abduction stories of all time. Um, and is where Ghislaine Maxwell got arrested too. So throw a little politics in that too. But yeah, that's I didn't know about the Betty and Barney Hill. Um, Might be some sure enough energy right in that area that you get the Loch Ness monster. You got Alistair doing all kinds of who knows what up in the house. UFOs. Get the whole some gamma of
Yeah.
plethora of interesting tropes there at one spot, one area, I guess you say.
Yeah.
Oh, are we getting rated? All things Art Bell is rating the show. Hell yeah.
Wow. That's
Get Art
fitting.
Bell to rate our show. That's what I'm talking about. What's up, Merlin? I just see Merlin's here tonight too. And Carl. Nice. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Looking forward to talking to Derek on Wednesday. That'll be fun.
Yeah, Derek's gonna be fun Wednesday. So yeah, make sure y'all like and subscribe on that part. Make sure y'all check out because Derek the Night Stalker will be here Wednesday. We will be having some fun. I'm gonna sit back and let him unleash him on everybody. let him let him rip and have fun, and we're gonna have some good discussions for sure. You don't want to miss it. I guarantee that. Guarantee that.
Yep.
James, you got any other things you wanna? Derek's rock and rolling in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, he's amazing in the chat too. No, I apologize. I'm fading, so I think I'm good. Um,
Oh yeah.
busy weekend, so but yeah. No, this was a lot of fun too. But
Oh yeah. Yeah, I get
guess I
you yawn every once in a while. I was like, oh, we still got we still got 3 more hours, James. No.
yeah, no.
You're yawning
But
now.
I guess I could just say, for anyone that hasn't doesn't know who I am and wondering who this guy is talking, uh, I do my own podcast. It's called Salcedo Paranormal. I've had Matt Sowell before and Ricky before on the shows, not the same time, but different shows. I'll have to do that one time too someday. But and you can find all that at my website, all the episodes of the show at the website, which is salcidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. Has all the episodes and links to social media and ways to listen, basically Discord invites and all that there. So thank you for having me on, and it was great talking with you as well, Matal.
Yeah, James. We'll get together and do some more content together. I really like working with you, so we'll do more together.
Sounds good.
Good job on your show. I'm trying to catch as much as I can. When I can, listening here and there. So I'm a big fan. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you. You as well.
Thanks.
I popped it on the screen there. Did you see what Derek's question there?
Yeah, man. Good question. I don't think I've really had like an actual like UFOs experience. Anything like that I can't explain, but I have seen some stuff in the sky that I can't explain, and I can tell those stories. So I live by Air Force Base. It's called Travis Air Force Base. It's the second biggest Air Force base on the West Coast. The other one, the biggest one being the one in San Diego, where where General Fravor saw the Tic Tac, and they said they're seeing UFOs out there on the water all the time. It's weird that the Air Force and the Navy, the Air Force and the Navy are the ones that are seeing these things, tracking them with their planes. But the Air Force base I live by, it's like 20 miles away, and I live on a hill, so I could see. I'm used to seeing planes in the sky every night. There's planes circling the runway all the time. The big planes, the C-5 planes, all kinds of weird planes. The more crazy the war gets, the more crazier planes I see. I see a lot of different planes, and these planes, I call them planes. I don't think they're UFOs, meaning like unidentified and flying objects. What I think I'm seeing like new technology that they want to hide. Like they're not going to show everyone the best technology, right? They're going to kind of try to hide that and like test it, because I only see them at night, and I only see them going back into the base like in the early mornings. But they have this technology, and it kind of reminds me of like they're not going to show us the best technology. They're going to let the I'm reminded of was it the USS Nimitz, that one boat where it's like it's our best boat, but they're going to decommission it, and it wouldn't surprise me, if that boat was attacked and false flag and all that stuff. Let them blow up our old technology kind of stuff. But these planes I'm seeing, this new technology, whether it is just like better technology that we've had, it's ours is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's like from outer space or from an off-world other planet. I think it's our stuff. I think it's our military testing them out. And whether it's reverse engineered, we talked about, Diana Pasolka talked about donation sites. And I think I kind of believe in that. Like all these alien crash landing sites are like donations, so we could reverse engineer that technology. So whether it's that, I don't know. But I do see these planes, and these weird planes that I can't explain what they are. They're silent. They don't make any sound. They sound like a Prius. They have, as far as I know, like most planes have like blinking like strobe lights. They don't have any blinking strobe lights. They're completely blacked out. Like completely like everything's blacked out on them. Everything is like a B-52 bomber, like stealth kind of. They have one solid white light in the front and one red light in the middle, like a infrared light in the middle. But I was seeing these planes, and when I was seeing them, and I've seen like other warplanes and stuff too recently, like weird like high-tech military planes coming to the Air Force Base, getting ready for that war. But the crazy thing is about these planes is that, and here goes the conspiracy stuff. I would see these planes, and I would notice that they would, at the time I seen them, they would be the only planes in the sky. Like I could see all around, like in the horizon, there'd be only those planes in the sky. And the last time I saw those planes, you want to take a guess what day that was?
Don't know. I'd say a Wednesday or something, because I've heard like Wednesdays are common for all this kind of stuff.
Oh, March 20th, 2020.
Ah.
So I'm not saying anything like that, but like I said, I do see these weird planes. I do have a story, an anomalous story I could tell that has to do with like time, losing time.
Yeah. Have you seen? I don't know if you had any chance to look at it. Have you seen any of those? With the government dropping them UFO files and stuff like that. Have you looked at any of that stuff? Like, you see that one I was thinking about earlier, and it did in my brain went, but it came back. But the one that the UFO got shot down and everything, so they actually able to take one of them out. Looks like, but which was interesting. But that is a good, interesting idea. For maybe that's it's some of the crashes are like a drop off. and everything.
Yeah, I think it was it Project Starfish? The guy from Blink 182. They were talking about like shooting UFOs out of the sky with nukes.
Hmm.
And it's like that's wild if they were able to do that, reverse engineer that technology. Yeah, that's why the aliens don't come to visit us.
Shoot, they were talking
Uh,
about shooting the moon with a damn nuke too. You know, hell,
yeah,
just freaking insane stuff. They're just doing um, uh, whatever they can pop in their head and think about is just crazy sometimes. Just digging into some of that stuff is out of this world. You know.
yeah. I was reading those the war.gov docs and stuff like that. A lot of them, there's some interesting stuff, but then what puts me off too is that here we are, we finally get disclosure, what they want to call it. They're releasing these files, and it's like I immediately came across ones that I was like, no, this has got to be fake. So and a lot of them, like I kind of like in the back of my mind, I want to believe this stuff.
Hmm.
But come to find out, of course, we can't believe everything that they're telling us. They might be throwing us off the path, or maybe only telling us half truths. So we gotta be careful of that when we read those. Was it war.gov? Is that what it was?
Yeah. I think war.gov/UFO or something like that. Yeah, it. Some of it, it could be, or some could be some plants that make us distract us you know, um, for what could be coming for sure. I have some interesting theories.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think they're gonna tell us everything, but it's good that I guess we're gaining momentum. We're going forward with it. I just want to know, man. Just tell us. Um, lots of interesting stuff there going on. They said they announced they're like, oh, the four known aliens. Did you see that one?
yeah, I mean, it's crazy right now. We got a
Yes.
mainstream Fox News showing aliens, and like these are the four types, and this is, and then the hybrid programs is like they're where they're rolling out so fast. It just makes me wonder, and it's got my antenna up, and I I truly think I think we're about to see a hybrid blue beam something come up, or you know a hybrid project blue beam. Maybe they won't do the whole try to one world religion thing, but it's going to be some kind of thing coming on. I still think it's going to be. I've been throwing out there. It's like July 4th might be interesting this year. Especially with the 250th year anniversary and all that all tying together, and like you got Independence Day like movies and stuff with UFOs. I mean, just put all the and we know like they like using movies to tell us how things are going to happen and everything. We've seen that throughout history. So
Literally a movie coming out called Disclosure Day, right
yeah,
before.
Disclosure Day is coming out in just a few days. With Spielberg, who's done some amazing movies on aliens and stuff like that. Uh, I mean,
Yeah,
it is the
I'm
time of the
looking forward
year
to that.
for UFOs and stuff, for sure. I know that's what Jess of Escape and Simulation said Wednesday. This is the time of year for like, a lot of this kind of movies and stuff like that. But I think just with the government pushing it, and with all of the kind of telling us like, hey, yeah, oh yeah, it is real. And I found the more and more videos out, and people are just openly talking about stuff. I got a bunch of them saved for like a lunch show, or who knows where I need to pull them out. But it's I don't know. Let's keep our eyes open.
Yeah, the Summer of Saucers. But I feel like it's weird how we see like going through time. And just like I was talking about earlier, you know, 20 years ago, couldn't talk about ghost stories and aliens weren't real according to the government. But now here we are. We have those CIA files. Admitting stuff like chakras and auras are real, energy work is real. Where was this stuff 20 years ago?
Hmm.
And then of course the UFO stuff. pretty much admitting that this stuff's real. You had like, and again, going back, like when Ancient Aliens first came out, I was like, no way, no way they're showing this on TV right now. And then there's like what 30 seasons of Ancient Aliens, and all kinds of other shows that come out like it that are showing that stuff, and then here we have it on the news, that these things are real, and what are we gonna do? I think it's just interesting to see, like, going through time, how I wonder what's gonna happen in 10 years from now. Stuff that we think is impossible is gonna be, completely. We're gonna laugh and be like, remember back in 2026 when we didn't think that could happen? I guess and then now it's a popular thing. I can see that
Oh yeah.
happening in the
Oh
future.
yeah. I mean, it's like I was talking, on before I've said it on other panels and stuff like that, and it's like, like 9/11 and stuff like that. We turn around and um, they used to do the hologram theory, and I'm like, man, that's insane. That's the distraction. I just always took it that way. It's like, hey, this is a distraction to pull away from the real truth of what's going on, because you got to do some stuff that's really out there. But now we do have the technology now. I wonder, how far back they've had it, with these drones and stuff like that. It's amazing what they can do when some of the shows and like in the sphere and all that kind of stuff they got going on. And this is what they're letting us see. We know they're at least 20, 30 years ahead of us. So yeah, like you said, in 10 years, it's going to be. I mean, I think it's going to be. It'd be like in 10 years, truly in my mind right now, it's going to be like we were in like 96, how we went with the games and everything. It's just going to be that much more. I think it's going to be in 10 years, it's going to be 20 years in advance of what we had right now. We go back 20 years in that span because everything is so fast growing, and especially with the AI stuff and all the data centers and all that crazy stuff and what's going to come out of all that. Yeah, it's going to be a lot, an absolute insane. If they don't knock us, off before then, but
Yeah, it's gonna be like Star Wars.
it could. It could.
Yeah, it
Shadow, I
reminds
can't
me,
read the chat.
reminds me of like when you're a teenager, you think you're cool, and then you look back, you're like, I was so dumb when I was a teenager, and then when you're in your 20s, you're like, oh, I was cool, and then you look back, oh, I was so dumb in my 20s, and then you're gonna, in the future, you're gonna keep saying stuff like, man, I was so dumb when I was in my 40s, I didn't know what I was doing.
Absolutely. I mean,
So in 10 years from now, yeah, we'll be looking back going, I can't believe we did it like that. We didn't have this new technology. And just thinking about what it could be, trying to fathom what it could be, um, is interesting topics too. Just thinking about the future. I'm really optimistic. I don't want anything bad to happen. Um, I just feel like, as we go through it, we're kind of like seeing the stuff that's going on. But I would say too, um, not pay too much attention to it all the time. I take breaks from social media, from scrolling, because like I can't anymore. It's all just so bad. So my advice is just go outside, watch the sunset, touch the trees, enjoy nature, be in nature as much as you can. Because when you're out there in nature, it's not so bad.
absolutely. I've been saying that on here, and I've said it on the panels too. You do got to separate yourself. I mean, we need to pay attention, and enjoy all this stuff. Enjoy the UFO stuff, and having, we're lucky to be at this time where we can actually have this, you know, um, this type of communicate or disclosure, if you want to call it, or just having open dialogue at this point. Or like you said, having on mainstream news that is not, and they're not chuckling while they're saying it. They're not. Always we've seen, for the last 40 years, if you've seen somebody talk about, well, he's over here policing aliens right there, and they put it up this, ha ha, and they always put it
Yeah.
somebody, some kind of, in a trailer park or whatever, just to make it look demean it. And now we, like I said, we got we have, we have people. Who did I heard it say it? I think Bill Mayer was saying it. Before we've always had some, farmer in a field talking about missing cows or something like that. And he said no disrespect to them, but now we have generals, we have this, we have people, you know, with degrees and all this kind of stuff, which in my mind that don't mean a damn thing. That don't make them any better.
Yeah,
They don't make them any better than that farmer that knows how to do shit you know that general or anybody else can even imagine to do. But having the people come out like that have influence, that can actually now come out there and saying, "Hey, look, this is real. We got this going on. We have these. Um, we picked up crash. We've done this. We've done that." And it's like they're still holding back. They're still well, we'll pull it out a little bit. Like they dropped like the other day. What it wasn't like just a couple hundred files. It's like, how long is this going to damn take? If they're dropping 100 files here, 100 files there, I mean, you can go on James Cameron's freaking thing, and he's got, let's see, I forget how many it is. It's tens, like gigabytes of. Man, I got the file right. I got the thing right in here. Let's see. It's thousands and thousands of files. Oh, he's got like how is the government dropping like 200 here, 200 there, like I mean, just dragging it along. And um, let's see, where'd it go?
yeah. Just real quick too, the whole like you said, the whole idea of a credible witness to me has always driven me crazy. Like highly credible witnesses of anomalous things versus not credible. And again, it is that that whole idea of, well, this person has this level of this education supposedly, or I get like pilots and people that are trained observers, they can maybe get more details and more accurate details, but also you know there's people that have probably near perfect eyesight that never got in any of those fields that can probably pick out some of those same details.
Oh yeah.
Right, like pilots, they're trained to notice things on the other aircraft. To know, they have to know if it's a friendly or a foe, and so
Right.
they're probably they probably can identify a plane by looking at it instantly, if if it's from China, from Russia, or from wherever, by the designs of the plane, where they are. And what you're looking at when they're looking at these planes, they're looking for things like wings, a fuselage, a propulsion system, landing gear, cockpits, nuts and bolts, things like that. But when they're talking about these things, they say that they're void of all those things. So how are they supposed to? They're trained to identify planes to know if they're an enemy or a threat, or if they're friendly. But then they're seeing these things, and so that like you said, a credible witness. It kind of does make it more to me meaning like that. But like you said, when we're seeing these people are seeing these UFOs up there, they're not describing any of that stuff. They're not saying that there's landing gear or propulsion systems, wings, fuselage, these types of things. So nuts and bolts or like panels, right? So what are we seeing, right? Like normal people can see with their eyes that it's not a jet, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if two people describe a orb of light, what and that's all they see. What doesn't matter what their training or their jobs or their professions are if they're both just seeing an orb of light.
Hmm. Yeah, and like I said, it's just I don't know. That's just the mindset of people, for whatever reason. Then they had a bunch of pilots and stuff come out, and say it. I know there was some Chinese pilots, and the bad thing is, especially before, if they come out and said something, a lot of times they lost their license. Um, they released a whole bunch of footage. Like, hey, do you want to report that? You want to report this? Like, nope, I sure don't. Nope. Because you don't want to deal with the backlash and stuff like that. So, um, yeah. But like I said, that the credible witness or whatever, just because and like one person's better than others is just a crock.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're seeing too like whistleblowers, people that are talking about this stuff, celebrities that are out there. We have like all those missing scientists. Um, so it is kind of dangerous. And what was the guy, Wilcox? We talk
Hmm.
about him, and I know Eric Von Donigan. I know he passed away recently. Like he was like an old guy, but like when I heard the thing about David Wilcox, it's like we gotta start watching out for this kind of stuff. We gotta pay attention to. And I'm not saying I know anything about what happened to him, if it was a conspiracy or what, or an accident, but we gotta start watching out for these people. And if we start seeing like celebrities talking about this stuff, if we start seeing whistleblowers, um, accidentally passing away or passing away for whatever reasons, I think that's a sign that like there's something there and that they want to cover it up. They want to try to stop it for people from talking about it. It's kind of scary thinking about that kind of stuff.
Hmm. Especially on that Great Awakening. They had that picture of the Great Awakening, had all them people on there and different things going on, and David Wilcox was one of the few names actually of people on there, um, which we had all them scientists disappear or unalived mysteriously. Um, it's over here. We had like 15 over here, and I think there's some in China. It just, you know, this makes you ask more questions like, hey, what is going on? All this is coming out, but all these scientists are, the ones that worked on this shit disappearing. Uh, you know, what is going on here? What is the, what is coming down the pipe? What is coming soon? Because and these are the people that know what's going on, so they take it out. You always see, um, I don't know. I like to watch, like throwing movies in because you know you look at what is the evil, the mad scientist or what they do, at the end where or the mastermind, and they get to all their scientists or what they're doing and make their plan and go on, and at the end what they do, kill them. They're useful for this is no over, and they boop, they take them out, and I wonder if that's what we're seeing right now. Like, hey, we got what you wanted out of you, but we don't need you telling the story. I don't know. Anything is possible though.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's true.
But well, we've 3.5 hours. How do you feel, Matt? Y'all know me. I can talk the rest of the night. I don't need to though, because I gotta get up in the morning. But um, we might call it here. Matt, go ahead and do your shout outs and tell them where to find you and all the places. I know Sweets will take care of links for you because she's amazing. Um,
Yeah.
Thanks, sweets. Yeah, I'm Matt from California. I go by Matt Tao. Big part of Troubled Minds family, friends. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for so much. I started doing a podcast. It's a half an hour, each topics. It's coming out on Mondays at 7 o'clock, so it's the Troubled Minds time. And they're just little half-hour little clips, just talking about things, randoms things. Trying to do it, like I said, scheduling things, and I'm trying to have like one episode be like a topic about like a person, place, or a thing, like a haunted location or a book review or a certain person, and then the next episode will be a lesson about kind of what we learned about what we talked about. So I'm talking about places and people, but I'm also trying to teach some of these ideas that I'm learning by reading these books. So it's all just having fun, having a good time. You can find all that templeoftheowl.com. I want to thank Mike for going out of his way to help me out with that. And I have Spotify and YouTube right now. I do plan on maybe eventually making some other, going on some other platforms. But as of right now, I got those two, and then templeoftheowl.com. And I'm going to be on Ray K's show coming up here in a little while. Me and James are going to get together. And yeah, I'm just interested in talking about this stuff, interested in talking about all kinds of weird paranormal and the magic and all that stuff. So I thank you guys for having me on. Thank you for doing the show, Ricky.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Keep the good work.
Appreciate you being here and everything. And yeah, it's always cool and to get to people, and like I said, and like I've said, I know I've said a bunch of times, and other people said, we always just trying to help each other out, and the tide rises all ships, so we can work together and help each other grow and move. Nice, and we can just keep on spreading the information and stuff. It's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to make sure y'all, like I said again, make sure y'all like and subscribe. Derek, the Night Stalker, will be here. We'll probably be continuing. I don't know where it's going to go. We won't know what the discussion. Like tonight, you never know what the discussion is going to go. But Derek will be here, and we'll have a great discussion. James will be here, and then maybe Jamie or Dave. Who knows? Anything is possible. We might have a big panel Wednesday. We'll just see how it goes. But Derek will be here 8:30 Central Time Wednesday night. So make sure y'all be here. Check, hit that notification bell where y'all can be notified. Hopefully it works, maybe. And then I said I just appreciate all y'all. Appreciate Art Bell fan for rating. And I appreciate y'all for listening and everything. All the great chat. The chat has been one of the ones that is another one I just couldn't keep up with. Like I couldn't, if I wanted to, try to like put out stuff as we were talking and try to add to that what they're talking. It's like there's no way, whatever.
Yeah, that's a lot there. It's almost always busy like that too.
Yeah, it's amazing. I appreciate y'all and for being here. And we're, like I said, we're gonna keep on. We'll get some more guests and stuff lining up, and just keep on keeping on. Hit 100 episodes on Talking with Conspiracy, and number 101. Like I said, we're still swinging for the fence with Derek coming next week or this Wednesday, and so we ain't stopping. I'm having too much fun, and keep on growing and spreading, doing it on different platforms, adding platforms every day. Just added another one. We're on ZP Zone. We are live on it tonight. So just adding more and more places where you can listen, more and more opportunities for more people to hear. So we'll have fun, and got some more shorts coming up. Maybe Wednesday, Thursday, day show. I know Monday, Tuesday I got side work, so probably Wednesday I might do a day show, throw some stuff out there. Especially, we'll see how things go in the world. But I appreciate y'all. Much love for sure. I guess let's James done his. Let's and y'all check out the links in the description. We got lots of friends of the shows in there. Matt Styles link to his YouTube's down there. James's link, and so many others. Trouble Minds Radio Network's in there, and which has many shows, all three of ours, and many more. So y'all check those out, and as always, y'all keep on keeping on, and the peace and the chicken grease. Let's hit this outro.
shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. I sit down with Big Brother. Don't like those RFIDs. Got the blues about my freedom. Got the blues about tyranny. I got the blues about my freedom. Got the blues about tyranny. I sat down with Big Brother and the national ID. Don't want a chip in my wallet, chip in my car. And if I want to travel, it's nobody's business how far. Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. I said shame on Big Brother, always tracking and tracing me. Don't want a chip in my mother, chip in my wife, a chip in my babies. Stay out of our life. Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. I sat down with Big Brother. No more slavery. Play it for me, baby. Now, do you want a chip in your forehead, a chip in your arm, always tweaking your brain and causing you harm? Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. I sat down with Big Brother in the good old USA. I sat down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother. Don't want a spy chip in me. Everybody, I sat down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother. It's all about liberty.